It is Wednesday, my dudes.
This is how I win.
This is no democracy. It is a dictatorship.
Hate. Double hate.
Load entirely.
You're out of order! You're out of order!
Everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you.
I'm a bitch, all the bitches back. Stone cold sober, as a matter of fact. I can bitch, cause I'm better than you. It's the way that I move, the thing that I do.
We are back, round two, part two of 2020's best favorite. People have interpreted however they want. I'm not grading on that scale, similar to Whose Line Is It Anyways. It really doesn't matter what I say. As long as you had a good time at the end of it, that's all that matters. Just a housekeeping. On the 9th, Roundtable returns. Kirk, the boys from Sight and Sound Breakdown. They will be with me and Mark on the 9th of March. And we have Smoking Aces,
That's
The
gotta
Last
be Mark's
Duel. Nope, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, guess who based on the pick? Who'll be
The
surprised?
Hill, I think, is
Yeah.
one.
That's the Hill.
There are two other ones. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't started. I didn't watch them yet.
Hedwig and the Angry Inch and Children of Men.
Children of Men. That's it. So we have some bangers, and some movies I haven't seen yet. But I was prepping for this, so that's next. So that's the scale I go on. But we're here just to argue about movies. Or actually talk about movies. Maybe not as much arguing. We'll find out. But best 2020, favorite of 2020. I haven't picked the next YLS topic. I kind of want to do a draft as my next YLS. I know they're not the most popular for everybody, but I enjoy doing drafts. So I have to come up with an idea, but I would like to do a draft. Kind of like in that segments, those 5 different groups, and you have to pick between them. I'll cook something up. We'll see what we can do. I think Spence sent me one. You may have sent me
the
Snubs
Twitter link.
Oscar. Pretty interesting idea that if we can put that on paper, I think that might actually be a lot of fun. Scott, how are you? How do you think you'll do tonight?
I think I am not going to do well. I did say that on the 2025 episode a few weeks ago, and then I won. However, there were some question marks in that episode. I know that I have 2 or 3 movies that Cody is really not that big of a fan of. So I think that could be tough for me, but who cares? As you say, this is just for fun. It's all made up and the points don't matter and all of that type of stuff. So, and I know some people said that they didn't put 2025 in their list. I did put, it's just one movie, but there is 2025 in mine. No points for guessing what it is since I just did my list a few weeks ago. But yeah, looking forward to this and a lot of great movies to talk about.
I did not fault anybody. I do not tell them not to put anything in there. If you think it stands where it's at, put it on there. Next up, Kirk. When we agree, it is magic. When we disagree, it's fun for everybody else involved besides you and I. When we argue back and forth. We got into a whole chat today apparently about lanterns, and that was a cycle I didn't even think I was going to be in because I don't really give a shit. But apparently everybody else said Coho was very excited that 2 guys are in the Midwest, and apparently they're going to find rings at some point with jewelry that has to be recharged. Anyways, how are you doing? How do you think you'll do tonight?
I'm doing really good. I'll be real with you for a second. I didn't realize how much I missed YLS until I started listening to watching these past couple episodes that we've done. So I'm so glad it's back. I'm glad to be listening, glad to be watching, glad to be participating. As far as how I'm going to be doing tonight, I know there's some stuff on here you're going to love. I know there's some stuff you're going to hate. Looking at the rest of the panel, I think I have a pretty good shot at least finishing the top 50%.
Top 1.5.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
YLS, Jack was supposed to be here, so we had a 4th. Jack had to drop, so I will be reading his list. He will be ranked along with everybody else. So we'll be the combined list. Yeah, YLS is one of those things. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Now that I don't have to do it weekly, and I don't have to do it every day, every same time every week. Yeah, I missed it too, and it will be back in rotation. And I like just being able to pick the panel, and then we can decide on a date that works for all of us instead of just having a strong date that we have to stick to. So, yeah, YLS will be back, and the draft is what we'll be doing probably next. Last but not least, Adelaide Spence. How are you doing, and how do you think you'll do tonight?
I'm doing all right. I wish I had more time to like rewatch shit because I feel like some of these I haven't seen since theaters, but for the first time in a while, I think I have a decent chance this episode. We are gonna start rough, but I have faith in Cody that I will end strong.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are like. Oh, when everybody comes in the show with hope is normally when I get to crush all of it later. But we'll see. First, I didn't pick an order, but I'm gonna do Scott, Kirk, Spence. I'm just gonna do it that way. This is not based on anything like I know what's on your list. I've watched a lot of it, but this is just it works how you guys are on screen for me. If it yikes are confusing, then my bad. But I'm not gonna yikes for Jack, just to let you know. So if Jack has, I'll tell you where it is on Jack's list when we get to that point. But Scott, what is your 10, 9, 8?
All right. At number 10, I have my favorite film of 2023. It's Perfect Days by Wim Wenders.
Yikes.
Perfect Days.
Nice. At number 9, I have All the Beauty and the Bloodshed.
Oh yeah.
And at number 8, this is one of my weirdo picks, Possessor. All right. 10 was yikes. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, number 9. This is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Laura Poitras, one of the goats when it comes to the documentary genre. I just talked about one of her other movies on the 2025 episode, Cover Up. This one is about a person that I knew nothing about prior to seeing this movie, Nan Goldin, who's a countercultural photographer that really sort of rose to prominence in the 70s, but kind of like found her niche in the 80s and 90s. Like I said, working sort of on the margins of society and culture and aligning herself with these sort of outsider groups of people, drag queens, victims of the AIDS crisis. Really, again, just people who are on the outside, drug addicts, because she herself was a drug addict who eventually got sober. So she's aligned herself with outsiders for most of her career. And also this is juxtaposed with her current actions where she is heavily protesting against the Sackler family, who are a pharmaceutical bigwigs who basically are profiting off of people's deaths in the opioid crisis. Poitras directs this thing beautifully. She uses a lot of Goldin's actual photography to tell the story, which adds a really nice artistic touch to, a documentary. But then there are just some incredibly powerful scenes. There's a scene where the victims of the Sackler family, people who have lost family members to the opioid crisis, as part of a settlement against the Sackler family, they go on a court hearing basically, and they get to give their testimonies in front of the Sackler family while the Sackler family has to sit there and watch. And it's just a jaw-dropping moment. But the whole documentary is fascinating, the way that Poitras structures it. Nan Goldin is such a compelling person, and her life story is so rich and more than worth telling, and definitely something that is still very relevant today. So I absolutely recommend this. It should have won the Oscar that year. It's an amazing documentary. Number 8, Possessor. Yeah, I was blown away by this movie in 2020. This will not be the first time I say this. This will not be the last time I say this tonight, but there were movies that came out in 2020 and some of them were really good. So this is one of them. It's by Brandon Cronenberg, the son of David Cronenberg. And it's a really cool mishmash of body horror and sci-fi about an assassin who goes into another person's body to try and kill Sean Bean. That's kind of a joke because Sean Bean dies in every movie. But Christopher Abbott plays the person who gets possessed. Andrea Riseborough is the assassin. They're all giving great performances in this movie. There's some insane visuals, like very phantasmagoric stuff where they're fighting over control over people's bodies. But this movie is also a movie of ideas, and it has a lot to say about working in a capitalist economy and the way that we become desensitized to the mass corporatization of everything. And it sort of starts eroding people's identities the more that they exist inside this system. The note that this movie chooses to end on, I think, is a really subtle and powerful last line that is a callback to something that happened earlier in the movie, kind of a Chekhov's gun. That just leaves you with a lot to chew on. And I love when a genre movie can do that in addition to doing all of the genre stuff really well. So this is one probably a lot of people missed. Definitely check it out. Super cool movie.
Yeah, you picked the roundtable double feature for me. Didn't need to revisit either one of these. One of these I would have, the other wouldn't have. First up, great documentary. Scott said it better than I would have. We did a whole episode on docs, and he brought this on Roundtable. It's a fantastic doc. Honestly, opens your eyes because I didn't know much of the story leading into it, and then you find out so much. And similar to his dad, Ew. Just I'll say that, like, don't need to watch his films. Possessor wasn't for me. And I forgot about it, and then he put it on his list, and then I pulled up the poster and I said, nope, I remember just enough, and we'll be leaving it there. So good start. All right, Kirk, you're up with your 1098.
Okay. I will say that I did not do 2025, even though I wasn't on those episodes. I just figured you'd had 2 episodes talking about that stuff, and I'd probably just repeat a lot of what other people said. And also, I think that 2020, 2024, that's halfway through the decade. That's a good cutoff point. So, and also, only one of my movies got brought up last week or the last episode. So, as much as it depends upon me, we'll have some new stuff to talk about.
That's true.
But that said, my number 10 is Ghostlight. My number 9 is Violent Night. And I really wish all 3 of these rhymed, but I suck. My number 8 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Yeah, you lost steam there.
Okay. Number 10, Ghostlight. It's dad-daughter stuff with a Shakespeare backdrop. You'd really have to screw things up to make this not hit for me. There's some like really cool found family stuff going in the background, which also a trope I really love. So on all bases, pretty much this is hitting for me. Yeah, I just love again, it's the cliche about this is like how you can use art to heal in life, the healing power of art, all these things. But it's true. And it's about this family who's going through his struggles, focus on the dad, and his relationship with his daughter, the way she's living as a result of what's happened to them. They cast a real life father and daughter, which I think you could really feel that chemistry comes through on the screen. Dolly DeLeon plays like this mentor character. The dad gets kind of drafted. He's a construction worker, gets drafted into this community performance of Romeo and Juliet, and she's the one that brings him in and kind of like is like watching him and just understands innately that like this is what he needs. We can help him. He probably won't be comfortable in our world, and we probably won't be comfortable with him in our world, but this is what's going to help this guy. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing. It's a lovely movie. It's heartbreaking. A lot of hard stuff to deal with. But it's just a movie that really, just really captivated me. Number 9, Violent Night. I'm always looking for new Christmas movies. This has been the rotation ever since the year it came out. I just feel like Santa Claus is a really untapped public domain fantasy character that people don't do enough with. He's got all these omniscient powers and he works one day a week or 1 day out of the year. What else can we do with him? And I know Rise of the Guardians had him in it, but this is the first like adult movie I've seen Santa Claus where he wasn't just doing it wasn't just a twist on basic Santa Claus stuff. David Harbour is a fantastic tough guy with a heart of gold. I think he's perfectly cast here. I love like how it plays on 80s tropes, especially holiday 80s holidays movies, Die Hard, Home Alone. John Leguizamo is a really good send up of like cheesy 80s action villains where he's just like a bad guy who just hates Christmas. He's an adult man who hates Christmas, hates Santa Claus. And it just the whole thing works for me really well. Like I love the Home Alone moments. I think it really does a great job of mixing like John Wick type violence with like schmaltzy holiday family stuff. Perfect blend of that. So I love this movie. Like I said, watch it every year now. And my number 7 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Jim Cummings is a guy I discovered a couple years ago. Just has such a unique voice. I love the way he makes movies. This is a film you could take this exact script, not change a word, give it to another director, and you could turn it into a straight horror mystery thriller. But the way he shoots it, the way he works, it took me a while to like get on, understand. Like I've been entertained by all his movies as soon as I watch them. It took me a while to try to figure out how he does it. And I think what he's doing, what makes him different, is that he takes very dramatic and very traumatic situations and plays them. He doesn't add jokes, but he presents them with comedic framing and comedic timing. And it just really like takes anxiety comedy to a whole other level. And there's one specific moment in this movie where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they went there. And they did it. And like, it doesn't hold back at all, but you still have that feeling where it's funny and you're laughing, but you're not sure if you should be laughing. And it's a great movie. Robert Forster plays his dad, and he's going through all these things: alcoholism, his dad's sick, he's estranged from his daughter. But it's all presented in this very unique way of, like I said, just Jim Cummings. I've never seen anybody make movies the way he does.
All right. Your 10 Ghostlight. Ghostlight was one of my favorite movies from last year. Kind of similar, father-daughter kind of hit. But I wouldn't say that's selling it short, but like there's a lot of dramatic moments in there that really goes. What Chris was saying, like the deposition scene is really, really strong. It was my 7th from last year. Not a lot of people brought it up, but I could kind of see like people thinking like it's a paint by numbers, but it hooked me from scene 1 and I was just in it for the rest of it. I did revisit it before watching it for this, just because there was movies on your guys' list that was farther back. But yeah, really great movie. I can't wait to revisit it. So, Violent Night. So I did not see. I did not rewatch this because I have a weird. Join my club of weird things, but watching movies outside Christmas time is it's a weird setting to get into for me. But that chimney maneuver will be one of the things I will always remember for this movie. I agree with you, to be honest with you. Santa in a aggressive or like badass way, I think we could tap way more into that. I really enjoyed it. And I'm also a sucker for a Christmas movie. It automatically gets a bump rating for me. When it's a Christmas movie, I'm one of the harshest critics around for some people's movies. But you said that some bitch with Christmas lights and jingle bells, and I'm like, you know what? Not so bad. You're a little too hard on things. So I make no sense, and I don't apologize for anything. I think we talked about this on Top 40 horror. I think that's when I watched this for you. Maybe
I didn't bring it. Somebody else might have, but I didn't bring it.
Maybe. Okay. I know we've done this. I watched it. I thought it was an okay film. I didn't love the film. It's been on a lot of your list and I never got to it. I finally got to it. Just wasn't, I think I said, I don't remember that much about it also from when we did talk about it. So that's where it kind of lasted in my head. But I know you're a big proponent of it. It didn't cross that limit for me. So, but I expected it to be on here. So that made, if it didn't, you'd been a fraud. So, all right, Spence, 10, 9, 8.
My number 10 is The People's Joker. My 9 is Shiva Baby. And my 8 is Soul. I'm just gonna say I have a doctrine when it comes to YLS, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 rule. Sometimes your bottom spot is just like the personal pick that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's representative of you. And I think it would be dishonest of me to not have this movie on there. I think it's a real shock to the system for me personally, on top of just taking, like this mythos of, DC Comics that I do like really enjoy, and being able to translate it kind of perfectly into beyond a trans allegory, like a fully trans story. I think it's really beautiful what it's able to get away with while also being, very funny, and you keeping pace, like having like being very moving along very quickly. Also, it does. I know like Cody's like big thing of it is like it does kind of look like shit because it's extremely cheap. And the two times that I've seen it, it's never put me off. But I think it's because it takes this very like radical tone. Like it does feel very counterculture. And I think part of the cheapness is like, it wouldn't thrive in a system where it can look as good as it should. And it kind of makes me like it more, seeing the amount of time and effort that goes into making something so low budget feel so huge in scale and not scope. I can't think of the right word for it. But like the estimation for it is huge and it pulls it off, in my opinion. Shiva Baby. In my top 100, because if I had anything, I love being panicked and having my brain fucked with. I think it was Scott, or I forget which one of you mentioned I think it was Kirk who mentioned the anxiety comedy, and I think this is like the perfect addition to that canon for at least the 2020s, if not 2021, because I think like this is an absolute like star-making performance from Rachel Sennett. I had no fucking clue who she was before this, and now I watch literally every movie she's in. She is absolutely incredible. I'm also, huge fan of Emma Seligman. Bottoms, not on my list, but great movie, great time. I just think that this balances tone so well. The anxiety and the comedy. Like I am sweating watching this. It is an awful fucking time, and I will throw it on again and again and again. Even like I think Molly Gordon is somebody who is like just circling all of my favorite movies. And I love what she's able to bring here. The main character's dynamic with her parents and the weird sugar baby dynamic that she's in with the guy who enters the party. Diana Agron, my queen. She gave up Glee and the Robert De Niro movie, The Family, and she's back. So happy. Just weirdly watchable for how awful it makes you feel. And Soul. I think that, for a while we were all in that camp of like, Pixar's pumping out masterpieces like quickly just over top of each other. And then in the 2010s, they just kind of like lost their way. They still had a few bright spots, but I think Soul is this real, I think Come to Jesus is like a very bad joke to make about it. But it does feel like they've found who they were again. It has such a strong emotional core. The movie feels like truly adult, the way that it's really coming to terms, the way that it's stressing themes of, like, what does it mean to be a person? Why are you here? What is your purpose to live? And the way that you really break it down, basically pitching to 22 is like if you were to like, if I were to go super like heady about it, if you were to say like this is basically him pitching to somebody why they deserve to live and finding that reason to keep going, looking forward for life, I think it's really beautiful with an absolutely incredible score. And honestly, the movie gets better the more that I rewatch and the more that I sit with it. It's just incredibly powerful in a way that I haven't really felt a Pixar film be. Again, in a decade, it is that monumental to me for like with perspective from the company.
People's Joker. Yeah, nope. Not revisiting that anytime soon. I'll leave that where it was. I'm happy that you like it. Do what makes you happy is what I tell people. Shiva Baby. Rewatch this. Still as uncomfortable as the last time I watched it. But overall, it's a good uncomfortable. I still had fun with it. I think I didn't rewatch it since. I love the brand of comedy that it works into this. It's like a car crash that I can't look away from, but I enjoy the car crash. Like, no one's dead, and I know that, and everybody's happy, but like the car's on fire. Like that's what that movie feels like for me, and I have a good time with it. Soul. This is just a weird, like, I think this movie came out the same time. It was all COVID. I think it came.
It was
to
like
Disney
November
Plus.
2020.
Wonder
It was
Woman
like
84. It was Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
Soul, yeah.
Yes, and like I always make the joke
1
that
year?
Wonder Woman 84 ruined Christmas,
Yeah.
because we all waited around to watch it and it was horrible and it was such a shit pile. This movie really caught me different this time watching it than it did like the last time I was watching it. I still think some of the jokes, like the time stuff and like that Abe Lincoln joke, will never just not be funny to me. It's one of the funniest jokes in that movie.
the Knicks joke though is like I don't even like sports.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's some really funny moments in those. But like I guess it's like I'm getting older in age and stuff, and like some of the stuff is just like hitting harder with me than it did before. And I just like Soul is like one of those movies I thought, it's okay. But then the more I sit on it, the more I think of it, I really enjoy Soul. I think it's a really good movie. And it's what Pixar used to do really, really well is mix adult and children humor, like, and it was like when they throw a joke, one's for the adult, it's like it's still funny for the kids, but it's even funnier for the adults because it has different meaning for them. And then that's where, and I feel like this is one of the closest ones that we've gotten to in a really long time that it actually had that power. So yeah, I'm really happy you brought it. It's not one I think about that often because I think anything like during COVID, it's just like, did that happen? I was in the house for so long. Do I know what it even is? So, yeah. All right, we're going through 7 through 4.
Jax. We gotta do Jax first.
Oh, Jax. Right, I got to do 7. Thank you, Jack. If you have it, you don't have to yikes it. But his number 10 was the seed of the sacred pig. When he told me he dropped one. I don't do a lot of docs. I have problems with docs in general. Like something's got to really grab my attention. Then I saw Paul gave it this 2.5 stars.
It's not a documentary.
Is it not a documentary?
No.
Well, then I'm totally wrong. Then I don't even know what this movie
It's
is.
an international movie, which you say you don't like, but you actually do.
Okay. Then that doubles. Then that's fair. It was like plus 2+ hours of this. What I thought was a doc on top of it. So maybe I was wrong. I didn't watch it. So and then he wasn't on, so I felt nothing bad about not watching it. But I saw Paul give it 2.5 stars, and Paul's like kind of the baseline where sometimes like I'm like, dang it, he didn't like it. I'm not going to waste my time right now. Not saying he's the end all be all, but on foreign films, I trust his opinion because he hasn't steered me wrong on that. So, number 9, The Brutalist. Anybody have this on the list? Thank God this movie's boring. I didn't like it last year. I think it's fine, but everybody was like, "Oh my God, stop!" It's fine. It's fine. Adrian Brody's a block of wood. I will always stand by that. I don't. And then The Northman. Anybody else have that? Again, I've said my piece on this. When they get on all fours and start barking like dogs, I'm out. I don't care how cool it looks. Just not my kind of movie. All right, that was Jack's 10 through 8. Scott, what a thought that was a documentary. I have not clearly seen any of that movie, so.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I do.
Could you imagine if I just came up here and I'm like, yeah, the doc was pretty good. Like, it's fine. It's not bad too. Not even a documentary. All right, Scott, what is your 7?
All right, my number 7. You're lazy if you didn't put the full title on the.
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, The French Dispatch of the Liberty, Kansas Evening Sun.
What a Wes Anderson fucking title, my guy.
Yeah, and people always say this every single time Wes Anderson makes a movie. They say this is the most Wes Anderson movie that he's ever made. It's lost all meaning at this point as a saying. But what does have meaning to me is that this is probably my favorite one of his movies, which I know is a crazy take. Like this is not a lot of people's favorite, but I just think this is the most charming movie from beginning to end. All of the individual anecdotes, segments of the movie, because it's an anthology film, work for me. My favorite is absolutely The Concrete Masterpiece, the first section with Benicio del Toro as the painter, Moses Rosenthaler. You know who's not a block of wood in this particular section of the movie? Adrian Brody. He is a delight in this movie. He is absolutely hilarious. It's one of my favorite supporting performances of the decade, as this madcap art dealer who gets punked by what Moses ends up doing. I'm not going to spoil it in case people still haven't seen it, but some of the funniest stuff of Wes's career in that segment. The middle segment, which a lot of people don't like, with Frances McDormand and Timothy Chalamet, I still find it charming, even if it's less so than the others. And then some of the most emotionally resonant stuff of Wes's career is in that third segment, featuring Jeffrey Wright as the food writer. Really moving stuff. And yes, Wes does have emotionally resonant stuff in all of his movies. Something else that people falsely accuse him of not doing. But there's also the chase sequence, the animated chase sequence in the Jeffrey Wright segment is so good. And Jeffrey Wright also another one of my favorite supporting performances. Like he's cooking. And it's really just a lovely movie in the end about a team of people sort of coming together to create, based on their own individual lives and experiences. I see it in a way as Wes sort of tributing all of the creative collaborators that he's had over the years, because he is a director. Even though it's all his vision, his technical team and everybody that he works with is also so important to what he does. And so I think there's something kind of cool about the fact that he's almost giving them a tribute here, if you think of him being the Bill Murray character in sort of the frame narrative. And yeah, it's a Wes Anderson movie. Great Alexander Desplat score, beautiful to look at, production design, editing, all immaculate. So I just love this movie.
We both know I wasn't rewatching this. One, I just, I don't like to attack Scott. I like Scott. He's one of my favorite people in this community. He likes bad things, and that's okay. I just don't like stylish directors.
What does that mean?
That they're more
director. Martin Scorsese is a stylish director.
No, sir. Listen. The way he cares about what the typewriter color, how bright yellow the typewriter is, or how like the picture needs to be, that's shit. Tim Burton, they make great art directors. They don't make great directors. That's just my thought process. I don't like it. And I had to send you a picture because when I was typing all this stuff into making my list, and I saw this title. This was not the original title when it came to Letterboxd. I promise you, it was not the French. It was just called The French Dispatch. And of course, his quirky ass had to add so much to it to make him. I don't like Wes Anderson. Okay, I just don't. Emotionally mute. He doesn't know how to develop character. Well, I'm just going to say a bunch of stuff to piss off Scott. See, Scott, I wasn't going to, and then you brought up Scorsese. You don't need to do stuff. You just need to let the hits go. Yeah, I'm not. I don't care. You brought up moments. I was like, I don't even remember some of that stuff. So it's just not my guy. But again, you needed to have this on there, because if not, and then we're going to agree a lot later. So this is just a weird. This is our one pothole on the road to friendship. Everybody else, why didn't it make your list?
I find myself as like a pretty big Wes Anderson fan, so I think this is like a very good movie. It wouldn't have made my list. However, I am very happy you put it on here. I will say, if I broke it down, I think that I think this has bar for bar maybe like my favorite individual scene of the year, or sorry, of the decade. Of simply like the transition from Tony Revolori to Benicio del Toro, of basically passing on the burden of time, of trauma, of his lived experience, is extremely powerful and yet so simple. It's genuinely like one of the smartest things I've ever seen a director do, and it's so simple. Like I think it's absolutely masterful.
Yeah, I really like it. I don't love it when it made my list, but I like Spence said, it's something that it's good to talk about here. I'm pretty much chalk with how Scott described those people's opinions. Love the opening, the prison segment, and the Jeffrey Wright part, the middle one, not so much, not terrible. It's just my least favorite of the three. I also really enjoy the framing device. I like those segments of the crew from the newspaper together. I love stories about small things that are very, like, in the grand scheme of things, not important, but very important to certain people. I love that kind of stuff. So them getting together, like at the end of this, their run, it really hit for me. So yeah, solid pick.
Would you say this is the most Wes Anderson movie out there, Scott? I'm just curious. Asking for a friend. Okay, what is your 6?
All right, let's do it. Nomadland, number 6. Yeah, so let me just get this out of the way. People's criticisms of Nomadland boil down to 2 things. Number 1, again, 2020 wasn't real. No movies came out in 2020. You know, that BS. Number 2, they think that this movie should have been a completely different movie from what it was, and that it should have just been an expose of Amazon, because Fern, the main character, works at Amazon for like 5 minutes in the movie, and they don't have a blinking sign that says Amazon is an evil corporation run by Voldemort himself, Jeff Bezos. No, you judge it on the movie that it is, and the movie that it is beautiful and moving. And I love the story of this community. Again, this is just the kind of story I love about this sub-community, subculture of people who are on the margins of society, who would not, really get their airtime if somebody didn't decide to make a movie about them. And that, we wouldn't really know that these people exist. And it confronts aging in a really direct and honest way that I find both, it can be sad in moments, but also there's so many little moments of joy and hope in their lives too. It's just depicting their lives as they are, and there's something for them out on the road. And, Frances McDormand's character Fern, she meets David Strathairn, and there's a chance they have a connection, and there's a chance there for her to sort of settle down again and have something. But spoiler alert, she chooses not to go that route, and she chooses to continue along the road because there's something else out there for her. And there's so many of the people that she meets that are experiencing the same thing. So it's a movie about the beauty and all of the emotions of life. Frances McDormand and David Strathairn are giving fantastic performances, but also all of the real nomads and non-actors that Chloe Zhao found for this movie are also extremely compelling. I love that type of street level casting. I'm going to mention it in another movie later, but it really adds a layer of authenticity. And I think there's again a spectacular scene towards the end where Frances McDormand talks to this guy Bob Wells, who is kind of a motivational speaker among the nomads, and he tells a story about his son who committed suicide. And if it doesn't, move you, then you may not have a heart in that chest. So this movie deserved to win Best Picture for films released in 2020. I'm very happy that it did. I'm very happy that Chloe Zhao won. I wish she would go back to making more movies like this, because I haven't been in love with her last couple. But I think that all the criticisms of this movie, I've not heard one that has convinced me that it's not the movie that so many people said it was in 2020, and now that we're in 2026, people decided, hey, wait, no, actually, this was mid for some reason. You're muted.
So transparency. I don't remember like overly loving this movie when it came out. I thought it was good, but again, I will say, COVID brain, everything, like things. We're just happy for movies in general. I do see some discourse now, especially when I watched this. It went down on a watch. I didn't enjoy it as much. I think Frances McDormand is good. I just don't overall love the movie itself. Not for any of the reasons you said. I do not care about Amazon or anything like that. I just could care less. I just didn't find it as engaging as I thought it was. There are some great scenes. There's some great moments. I do love, the casting decisions that they make. It just didn't 100% nail it for me. But I looked, and I was looking on. Every time I wish, I just took screenshots from like time frames on Letterboxd, because I swore Nomad when it came out, stars galore. I just saw, and then when I looked, I was like 2.5, 2.5, 2. I was like, where did I don't remember this being just completely like ran over by the time it came through. So I think it's a fine.
We should have won Best Picture, so they got mad, I guess.
Oh, I don't even know what was nominated up against it. That's how bad I am at Oscars.
That's what
But
I'm doing research right now.
Sound of Metal. What else?
yeah, but overall,
Other.
I think she's really good in it. I mean, Chloe Zhao, like as long as she's not making Eternals anymore, I think she'll be fine with whatever. Hopefully, she makes some stuff. But didn't she just do Hamnet? Is that what?
Yeah, she did. That was her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a strong movie. But yeah, I think it's a fine movie. It just didn't. It just doesn't. It's not one of my favorites. But yeah, it was crazy to see some of the people that I think at least heard talk very highly about it. Now it looks like it's dropped a lot. So everybody else on Nomadland.
Yeah, I didn't realize until earlier this afternoon when this was brought up in a chat that I'm in that there was like severe pushback against this. I guess I'm just not, I don't have my finger on the pulse. I've always liked this movie. I thought it was great. Probably in my top 15 to 20 of the decade so far. I think Frances McDormand is great in it. I think for me, the fact this came out during COVID helped, because the fact it was a movie about life and living and exploration and going out. That was a positive for me. I don't know about anybody else. But I really love her journey. I love how she is first. I thought, like, not knowing much going into this movie, I thought it was going to be like this miserable existence that she has to live through every day. And I love the fact that at first she's forced into it, but she finds a home and a community there, and really this becomes her way of life, and she chooses it in the end. I really like that. I love her relationship with David Strathairn and the two different views they end up taking of this culture, and their levels of dedication to it. I think is super interesting. I love the like Scott was saying, the real people that they brought in, usually in a movie that sticks out like a sore thumb. I think they fit in so well, and I think Frances McDormand works really well with them. And I think honestly, I'm somebody where I was watching something like, oh, I understand why someone might find this appealing, until they started talking about buckets. When they started talking about the buckets,
that was tough.
But otherwise, I see what's going on here, and yeah, I've never had an issue with this movie. I feel the same about it now as I did when I first saw it.
I will argue against Scott's sentiment. I don't want the movie to be this Amazon hit piece. I want it to not be fucking boring. I want there for things to happen, to have characters I empathize with. I think should she have won the Oscar? No.
Who should have won?
I think fucking Carey Mulligan probably should have won it. I'll double check my list.
Oh God, no. That's the worst.
I think part of my distance from the movie.
We'll talk about that later.
You are surrounding her with non-actors, people who are like genuine. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm rereading this, Viola Davis should have won. You're surrounding her by non-actors who are kind of like stunting all over her. Like, she feels so wholly inauthentic, and these people are talking about their lived experiences. Like, I care way more about them, and she is truly like just a visitor in it, and it really makes the whole film feel kind of hollow.
Hold on. So I have to do this. I'm going to take a pause. 2021, 4.5 stars. One of the most genuine human films I've seen in a very long time. Chloe Zhao's storytelling is bleak and sad, and never once does it feel that way. This movie resonates warmth and kindness, and even faces the idea of such as death. Frances McDormand is fantastic. It's absolutely unique and worth seeing. 4.5 stars. 2025 in July. Does not hold up. Definitely baffles me in hindsight how dominated the awards. McDormand is good, and some JJR shots are great, but otherwise, man, what a snooze fest.
Caleb Coho.
The worst thing this movie gave us is Karsten Runquist's The Scourge of Letterbox's review of this movie, which is one of the worst things you'll ever read and most nonsensical things. And it made me block him on the website, even though he also liked the movie. So
His YouTube channel is not bad. I'll defend that.
I'll never know. Okay, my number 5.
That's just crazy that Coho flipped that fast.
Well, he did
that.
the same thing on the opposite direction with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but
well, yeah, but he finally got what Tarantino was going for. Like,
that's
he
true.
was,
That's fair.
he didn't understand what old time Hollywood meant back the 6 watches prior.
Before he thought Sharon Tate should have just died at the end, I guess. Number 5 is my number 1 movie from 2024, the French-Canadian thriller Red Rooms.
Fuck yeah.
Directed by Pascal Plante. Yeah, this movie took me completely by surprise. Had no idea anything about this movie, the director, anyone in it, and it got recommended to me. I think Paul and Michael maybe both watched it and told me to watch it. And I watched this on a plane for the first time, and I was like freaking out while I was watching this on a plane, because there are some scenes in this movie where you want to, like, you know, go walk around for a little bit. But it's about this model played by the actress Juliette Gariepi, who becomes obsessed for reasons that aren't quite clear in the beginning with the murder trial of this serial killer who has killed multiple young girls and recorded the murders. And she has watched the videos by accessing them on the dark web. And again, has this sort of strange fascination. And the movie is a lot about unpacking what exactly is underscoring her fascination with all of this. She gets sort of connected with another person who's there, who's like a stan of the serial killer, and everything that happens between the two of them is really fascinating. But then just watching this character unravel in the second half of the movie, and Juliette Gariepi is giving a stunning performance as Kellyanne. Again, multiple scenes. There's a scene of something that she does in the courtroom, which is crazy. And just everything about it, the editing in it, the score in it is just unforgettable. And then there's a poker game also that she's playing online, that it has like Uncut Gems level anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I want her to get away with it. And then and then when it's over, you're like, wait a minute, why was I rooting for her? Again, similar to that feeling of Uncut Gems, and really haunting stuff that happens at the end of the movie. It has some really interesting commentary, I think, on true crime, on influencers, and just violence and depictions of violence in general, because this movie is really harrowing, but you never really see anything in terms of acts of violence. You don't see the murders actually taking place. It's more about people's reactions to them, which I find to be a fascinating choice as well. So such a cool movie. Again, one of those kind of experiences that I really love in movies, where it's something that I know nothing about, just watch it on a whim, on a recommendation, and then I'm like, wow, this is one of my new favorite movies now.
Yeah. Red Rooms is a movie I still think about. It's kind of crazy. That scene in the courtroom is also, when you talk about walking around, I couldn't get up like fast enough I couldn't have watched this in the theater. Like, there's just no way. Like, when you know something's about to happen, like when you see it happen and you want to just stop, like turn it off, move around, like, it was just so uncomfortable to watch. But I do think like it does sell it, like it made me even look at like some things in my, like, because I'm a true crime nut. Like, I watch some stuff, and like maybe you fly a little too close to some of the stuff, or you get a little bit, and if you're not in the safe headspace or anything, like it could lead to so much like problems and stuff. So I think it's a really good movie. I don't know how often I'll ever just go back and revisit Red Rooms, but like it's definitely one I still think about. Anybody else see Red Rooms? If you have, why didn't you make your list?
I am a massive fan of this movie. It never really crossed my mind, just because as I was going through everything, it was like my 5s, my 4.5s. I think this is either like a low 4.5 or a very high 4, where it's like, I think it's on the cusp. If you did like a top 20, I would have considered it. It's just not quite like top tier echelon. but it is, I think, one of the movies of the decade where if you're going like, okay, you've seen all the big shit, let's show you something cool that you haven't heard of. This is one of the first things I think you should go to because it is phenomenal and not enough people have seen it.
Yeah, it wasn't on my short list, but I think it's a great pick. And yeah, I think I was also traveling when we watched this. When I watched this, I think I was in a hotel. I think it was like late 2024, early 2025, where like we were all like the whole community was kind of talking about it and everybody was watching it. So I watched it then. I learned that Canadian trials take place at Apple stores, which is really, really interesting. But no, just some of the most haunting single images in a movie that I've seen in the past couple of years. And I love the fact that basically like you spend a lot of time alone with the main character, and she's silent through a lot of it, and you get nothing. And, you know, you're kind of forced to like put your own thoughts and ideas onto what she's doing. You don't find out to the very end. And even then it's not completely clear, but it takes forever to unwrap it. You're still hung on everything that's happening. Really great pace, really just spooky, freaky movie. Another great pick from Scott.
All right, Scott, what's your 4?
Cody can actually talk about it this time. My token 2025 entry, Marty's. Electric 2.5 hours. There's no other way to describe it like that. Really is just the word. It's a complete roller coaster ride. I just talked about Uncut Gems, mentioned it in the last movie, and obviously this is one of the same directors of Uncut Gems, Josh Safdie. And but like I said on the 2025 episode, I think this movie takes that already fantastic movie and improves upon it by giving us a main character who is a human. For all the things you can say about Howard Ratner, Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems, human is maybe not one of them. Like I said, he's kind of a douche. I mean, he is a douche at the beginning of the movie, and at the end, he's a douche at the end of the movie, but he's a dead douche. And he hasn't changed a whole lot over the course of the movie. You can't say that about Marty, because there's these little moments of humanity that are sprinkled throughout the movie. Timothée Chalamet does such a great job of, he's so annoying, you want to strangle him, you want to, just shake him like throughout the movie. But then every time there's like a little moment of, humanity, or like, hey, I'm just this scrappy kid who doesn't have a whole lot, who's trying to make it. And you see some sort of like American dream twisted type story at the heart of all this. And, you may want to resist connecting to it because of all the other terrible things that Marty is doing in the movie. But like, I think that is the beauty of it. And then when you get to that final scene and the reaction that Timothée Chalamet has in this one moment completely sold me on a moment that I would, it's building up and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to buy this. And then, when I just saw his face, like, I believed it. And I think it's a generational performance from Timothée Chalamet. Like, I don't know that he'll ever be able to top what he does here, to be quite honest. And then, just direction, again, all the elements of this movie. I love the score by Daniel Lopatin. It looks great. It's, Darius Kanji shot this movie. It's, Josh Safdie really leveling up with some of the creatives that he uses, and it shows on screen. It's just an absolute thrill ride from beginning to end, and that type of experience that I go to the movies for.
Yeah, I finally get to talk about this movie. Yay. When they said like he's a surefire winner of the Oscar, I was like, really? Like, I hope it's good. You nailed it on the head. It is as tense as Uncut Gems, with a character you kind of have sympathy for. Every time you see Adam Sandler's character do something stupid in Uncut Gems, you're like, oh my God, will you just not get the fuck off? Please stop. Like, I can't take this because you're going to lose. And this is like, he's a douche and he makes terrible decisions along the way, but like, you have some sort of sympathy throughout with him. Like, there's a whole scene where he walks back in a girl that he's been with, and she's like expecting, and he's just like, what do you want from me? Like, just like ghosts her for however long, and like he's trying to call, and then like almost has to use her to like get to his next like escape or like away from it because he got in trouble in another area, and it just keeps building. And that ping pong match at the end or whatever is just really cool. Like a thing that I mean, if you told me, hey, Cody, you're gonna watch the ping pong match that's on ESPN, no. But you know what? I found it very fascinating on this one. So his performance is really good. Overall story was was just awesome to see. It lived up to the hype, which I was really worried about because everybody was blowing this movie to the moon. Like it was going to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. And when you see something that carries a lot of weight, and I would put it up there with Uncut Gems. I love both of those movies. So yeah, and congratulations. Hopefully he wins his Oscar. Everybody else on Marty Supreme.
Yeah, if I would have had 2025 on my list, this could have made it. I think this movie's great. It's probably my favorite of the year. Just so much. I love that kind of character where, yeah, he's a scumbag, but at the same time, like he's the best at what he does, and life's kind of, other than his talent, life's kind of throwing him a raw deal, and he's just doing what he has to do to accomplish his goals, accomplish his dreams. So it's like, hey, maybe I can do that. Or maybe it's okay that he did that. I don't know, and I love that like moral ambiguity you have to wrestle with while you're watching the movie. It's like a whiplash type thing where what's the right thing for these characters to be doing. I don't know. I love the fact I'm watching this movie. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm just stressed out, and I'm like, I walk out of the theater like, did all that stuff couldn't really happen? I looked it up. It's like, no, it didn't. Like he just made stuff up. And I wish he would have given some advice to Benny, like when the character of your sports biopic isn't that interesting, just make stuff up. And it makes the movie a whole lot better. I feel like this. I'm so glad this is, even though it probably won't win. I'm so glad this is the year that they introduced the casting Oscar, because I feel like this is the kind of movie that Oscar is made for. It's not just about collecting like the biggest pile of A-list actors. It's about making like unconventional choices and choices out of left field, and it all working, which happens here. There's so many like little parts and pieces here. We're like, why this person, that person, and it all works. So again, Sinners is probably going to win that, but I'm definitely pulling for this movie to win that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and I forgot to say, everyone talks about Odessa Asian, but for me, Gwyneth Paltrow, I thought was phenomenal in this. There's like a whole story with her character, honestly, just in the few scenes that she has.
There's just a whole list of actors in here that I just didn't know they had that level of range in them. And like, I'm not saying the director got that all out of them, but like that shows like something that you have to like, that shows the level of directing that I would say like has to carry some people a little higher. I'm not saying he should win or like not saying that, but like if you would have told me just listed the cast and be like, is this movie a good movie or a bad movie? I'm like, oh, it has a real chance to be horrible. This movie could be really bad, but no, everything works.
I mean, like you get like a major performance from like fucking Abel Ferreira, which like him being there is wild, and then Penn Jillette in a minor cameo was fucking terrifying. Like, I will agree that I think that probably deserves the casting Oscar just for like how dense its cast is and how great they are. I don't love the movie as much as everybody else. I'll probably account that for the fact that I watched it on my iPad in multiple sittings, so I couldn't like get that like continuous tension the movie like really relies on. It is very good. I do think that Timmy is very good. I don't love the supporting performances. I think they're great, but they're not gonna make like my 5, 7, maybe 10. It's just, it doesn't hit with me the way that it does for everybody else, but I fully understand like it is a very good movie. I didn't mention it. I do have 2025 films on my list. And we can go over, why those are better than this if we really needed to. It's just good, not great.
We might. Don't tempt me with a good time. All right. Kirk, what's your 7?
Okay, my number 7 is Killers of the Flower Moon. Like Cody likes to say, I'd be a fraud if I didn't have the Scorsese pick on my list.
That's true.
I'm trying to figure out how to describe the tone of this movie. What do you call bad nostalgia? Because that's what this movie feels like. Like it's not, it's obviously not nostalgia for that time, but it has that just kind of sense of
A cautionary tale.
yeah, it's a time gone by where and it just has that like reverse nostalgia feel to it. I love the way this movie looks, the way it feels, the way the community is presented, the way it's shot, those scenes of those parades and stuff like that. Again, I went into this not having read the book, not knowing the story. I assumed from the previews what I heard that Leo would be kind of a pawn in this, and he would be kind of like resistant. No, he just a scumbag from top to bottom. But he's so good at it. Just how unapologetically, like, I do love money, and I will do what I got to do to get it. And then De Niro, and just like that completely hypocritical role where he's sitting in the travel sessions with these people, and making all these promises, and then what and he it's almost like he doesn't realize that there's even a problem with it. Like, I think when he's sitting there and saying how much he loves these people, I think he believes it. I think he thinks he's like on these people's side. It's just such a baffling story, and I think it's just so well done. Lily Gladstone, obviously, so great. I think she got robbed of the Oscar. She was the number one at the Bullet this year. I know a lot of people complain about like her, number of lines, whatever, but I think just her silence in this film and her just physical presence in the film, and specifically in Leo's life, just carries so much weight in that final scene with her and the two of them talking. When he seems to be showing some kind of regret, but he's just so wishy-washy and so weak, and so pathetic, and just how she juxtaposed that with her strength. Just great movie. I love the ending, just that out of ending nowhere where they kind of recap it with a radio story, and you get like the kind of like the coda there. Just great. I think Marty's still firing all cylinders. Again, this would have been my best picture of the year. I don't think that's any surprise for anybody. But yeah, just fantastic movie.
Back-to-back movies with an older gentleman spanking a younger person. Interesting. Didn't know I know how to put these things back to back. This is a movie I need to revisit. I loved it when I watched it. I even said in my review, it's not one that I'm going to be running back to anytime soon. But there's still scenes that just absolutely resonate with me. I think De Niro's ability to go from like the cunning, charming, like man of the people in this town to being like, when his ass is on the line, how quick he switches and changes his tone, and the ranges where he can change that in the same scene he's talking to Leo. Oh, I got you, but and then drops the tone instantly. One of my favorite scenes of this decade is when you see Lily Gladstone sitting in the thing and talk to Leo, and she's just wanting Leo to be honest with her. And says, "Tell me the truth." "I am telling you." And she just stands up, pushes the chair, and walks away, and doesn't say another word to him. It's just like and he's just left alone with all his own thoughts. Yeah, it's just a really good movie. I hated everybody when it came out. I was like, he's 80 years old and he's doing this. He was 77 when he did The Irishman. You don't stop hitting home runs just because he's still got the ability. He can. I can't wait to see what he does next. He seems to be getting better with age. So, but yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I'm terrible at trivia, so I don't even know what came out the same year as this. So, but yeah, it could be. It would be probably my best picture as well. Yeah, so that's a tough one to beat, but I understand. I would also give it a killer fire. But everybody else on this movie?
Movie is good. However, I will always have an issue with 3.5 hours, and it's not exactly paced super fast. I will say it has maybe the best final scene of any movie of the decade. I think it is like masterful in a way that I can't really put into words. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it wasn't far off of making my list. I think I had it at either number 2 or 3 from 2023. It's a brilliant movie. The self-reflexive stuff, I think, is what takes it over the top for me. Again, mentioning the ending, just the fact that Scorsese is seeming to acknowledge that, as important as it is to tell this story, like, it's too late, right? Like, the damage has already been done, and there's something hollow about that he kind of leaves us with that I find to be really powerful. Even though this sort of thing is still happening to different communities and in today's culture in terms of how it affected this particular group of Native Americans, the damage is done, and I find that amazing that he went to that level, went to that extent in the last scene.
All right, you're 6.
Okay, my number 6 is Boiling Point. Stephen Graham, speaking of The Irishman, I think he's one of the most underrated actors working today. I think he's getting attention because of that Netflix show, but I think there's a lot of other stuff people should be talking about him for. So I love him. All One Take. One Take's another thing that's right up my alley. You make a bad movie in one take, and I'm probably going to sit there and enjoy it. But this is a good movie, all in one take. And it takes place, it's about a restaurant. Stephen Graham runs this restaurant, and everything's kind of going, I think it's like Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve or something like that. And everything's kind of, going against him. It starts out, there's I think they failed a health code inspection or something like that, and everybody's pointing fingers who's to blame there. There's, important customers coming in that they got to plan for, different, things they got to cook and prepare and how they're going to do that. There's issues with customers who are giving them problems. There's personal dynamics and problems between people in the kitchen, again, on the dining room. And again, it's all this stuff is just heightening anxiety. And, Stephen Graham has problems with his ex-wife and his daughter, business partners, things like that. And it's all happening. And that idea, just doing that in one take is so brilliant. I think it's such a great setting for it. I have very limited, experience working in restaurants, but from what I hear, spent cheap brands, obviously, talk about this more than I can. It seems like it's pretty accurate from what everybody tells me. Just how it's like, just how fast paced and just go it is, and how there's always a problem and always an issue, and you got to work together and solve problems. And like I said, the way it's shot just leans so hard into that. I think it's just a really great movie and a really fun, really just high paced, easy watch.
It shows how much I pay attention to the technical aspects, because it was like 20 minutes in and I was like, I think this is a one shot. I don't think they've cut it all. I'm just sitting there like, I think this is where we're at. Working in limited restaurants that I have in my life, this is the least high end. My friends that are cooks, this is something that it seems like, I know that there's a love for it, but when people are in it, I don't know how much love there is. They look so like some of the most miserable people doing this thing. It is so pressure filled, but they get like a high from it. Like it's like this competitive aspect that you just can't get any other way. Like under a boiling point pressure cooker, it's just in your face the entire time. I watched this movie for the first time today. I love Stephen Graham. I think he is great. He is, again, he's one of my favorite parts from The Irishman. What do you mean, you people? And the crazy how thick his accent really is and how he can switch. That's impressive. But I can't see him without thinking of him just talking to Al Pacino. But there's a part in the movie at the end when they're going so fast, things are going, he makes a decision, and they're trying to get to the bottom of what happened. And it's like she just spells out all this ingredients and then finally realizes oh my God, yeah, that's it. And it was him. And then the guy's like, whose fucking fault? It's your fucking fault. And he has an emotional scene at the end where he's on the phone, with his wife, just talking, and he's done. He feels done, over with. And you have the weight of your world on your back doing you have the weight of your world on your back for this situation, but it's a situation that you put yourself in because you love what you do. And it's something I think that chef movies just work for me in general, because I think I like food competition show. I love all the aspects. I love watching. I love cooking myself. But then when you see like somebody under the thing that something that gives you so much joy, but also brings you so much pain, and like this is just this is a side tangent. But if you like look at like the mental health and like the abuse of like drugs and alcohol or whatever is just on the cooking community in general is so high, and like the suicide rates for their job is even high. Like there's so much pressure that builds on them, and it's crazy because I can't think of like people that wake up one day and be like, I want to be a teacher, I want to be this, I want to be a chef, but like what the sacrifice is, like while you're enjoying your meal at 7 o'clock, they're in the hell of just dying behind a fire. It's crazy to me. I think it's just a fascinating world to break into and like learn more about. Everybody else on Boiling Point.
Haven't seen it, unfortunately.
Haven't seen it.
Spence, I think you'd.
Stephen Graham's representation for short people is very important.
I have a whole list of like.
What do you mean
movie
short
movies.
people? What the fuck you mean short people? You committed fraud. All right, 5.
Okay, my number 5 is Godzilla -1. I love all iterations of Godzilla. I love serious Godzilla. I love silly Godzilla. I love Force of Nature Godzilla. I love cartoony Godzilla. They're all great.
Give me all the lizards.
I think this is the one that is most close related, tied in spiritually to the original, to Godzilla 1954, where that movie was obviously an allegory for the atomic bomb and that experience in Japan. I think this movie does a lot of the same things, but it does things that in 1954 that couldn't be addressed because of the proximity to the actual events. It was just too close. They didn't have the years and years of reflection to think about it, and just to process that trauma of not just the bomb dropping, but also just how the war impacted society in Japan. This entire society that was gearing up to fight to the last man and basically go extinct before surrendering. And now here they are, all of a sudden they have surrendered, they're completely defeated, and they got to continue carry on in that. And I think this movie encapsulates that so well, specifically the main character. I can't remember the character's name, but he's a kamikaze pilot who survived the war and is kind of shamed for that, and feels shame for that. And just the story revolves around him. And the biggest criticism of Godzilla movies is always the human characters the problem. They're just there the way to waste time before Godzilla comes to smash stuff. Human characters in this movie are fantastic. The human story is amazing. It makes the movie as great as Godzilla is. I'll get to that in a minute. Just the arc these characters go through, and I love just how anti-fatalistic and life-affirming this movie is. And I'll be completely honest, if I didn't see this movie and you explained Godzilla to me, described as life-affirming, I'd probably roll my eyes and be like, I might skip this one. But it works so well, and I think the way it incorporates Godzilla is, and again uses him as a metaphor for all these things, is so good. Looks great, looks fantastic. I'm a rubber suit guy, but the CGI in this is pretty flawless. When I'm watching a Godzilla movie, I'm always waiting to hear the Godzilla march, because you know that Godzilla's coming to wreck shop when you hear that. When it plays in this movie, I'm like, oh no, don't Godzilla, because I actually care about the people who are being affected by this. So it's just a very different experience of watching a Godzilla movie. I've never seen one like this before. Like I said, it's close to 54, but again, with that perspective of all those decades looking back, I think it's a lot more nuanced, even than the original movie was. It's in my top 3 Godzilla movies of all time. I'm really excited for the sequel. But yeah, I think this is just one they just knocked out of the park.
Q sub T rolling his eyes. Let me be real with you. Rubber suit garbage. This makes 54 look like, I don't know, name brand versus store equivalent. It's the best. It's Step Brothers at the end of it when they both get Chewbacca mask and the one go, it's okay, mine's not movie quality. That's 54 versus this. This movie's great. I answered a trivia question right about it the other day too, so that even proves more that hey, something stuck. This movie just was insane. Like, and I'm with you on it because most of the time, like, oh, classic Godzilla. Hey, giant lizards coming to town, gonna destroy some shit. Oh, let's go to the waiting room of this hospital to talk to these two people for a while. Well, no, he was right by the building. He was about to put his fist through. Nope, we're gonna talk about these people that suck. This one, they cut two people, but the characters are enjoyable. So overall, and I think like the visual effects are fucking crazy in this movie. Like it is absolutely nuts what they were able to achieve. Um, yeah. So yeah, all the other stuff doesn't really work for me, but New Godzilla, sure, let's go. Anybody else on this?
I haven't
I
seen
haven't
it.
seen it.
All right, onward and upward.
All right, my number 4. I think everybody's seen this. My number 4 is The Holdovers. Okay. Yeah. Another instant Christmas classic. I've been watching this every year since it came out. I love Paul Giamatti. Again, I love all Paul Giamatti's. I think he is one of the most versatile actors. This guy can do anything. But my favorite Paul Giamatti is angry, misanthropic, miserable Paul Giamatti. That's always the best version of him, and I think this is the best version of that. He is so good in this. I love just again his character arc here, what he goes through. I love it's like that kind of Dead Poet Society, but better. Where like he's these life experience, these ideas on this one student. I love that relationship here. Again, the whole found family, and it's again. What's the actress's name? The one best supporting actress?
Divine Joy Randolph.
Divine Joy Randolph. She is so good. Totally deserved the Oscar. The scenes with the three of them, and just kind of, hey, we're forced to be here, and where do we go from here? And I think all three of those characters are just so well developed, and the movie has so much empathy towards all three of them. Paul Giamatti, again, how did he not win Best Actor? It's ridiculous. I whatever you think about Oppenheimer, the fact that Cillian Murphy beat him is nuts.
He did the Oppenheimer face though.
Giamatti did the eye. I'll counter with that, but
His one
no.
eye sees Oppenheimer.
I just again, this was talked about in the last episode, so there's not a whole lot I can add to that. Just a fantastic movie. Again, it captured that 70s feel. I said in my review, it's like I feel like I've been watching this movie every year since I was 5 years old. It just feels like it's always been there, and it just captures that like Christmas, that like melancholic Christmas mood so perfectly. Love it.
I love a movie about a curmudgeon that gets softer over the movie and like finds his heart. It'll always work for me. Maybe I relate to it. Who knows? I feel like, it's something that you get because he's been hardened by something in the past and you don't really know, but like fish out of water, strange connection of people together over a holiday to bond over this stuff. I just think works so well. I think I need to revisit The Holdovers. It is around Christmas time, but I feel like it plays around Christmas, but I feel like it can play anytime. Really. But yeah, I've watched Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer. I think he's really, really good. I get that, but like I'm kind of with you on the Giamatti. I just think he's doing so much in this movie. I think it's really good, and I understand. I'm not saying that anybody could play Oppenheimer and it'd just be as good of a movie. I enjoyed Paul Giamatti's performance more. Plus, but I kind of want to see both of them win an Oscar. So it is what it is. Like you get it. But I don't think Giamatti has that many more nominations. But he could get 4. So we'll see. Everybody else on The Holdovers.
All the Oscar gaffes you could talk about. I don't really think this is one probably that deserves the attention that much. I mean, Giamatti's very good, but so is Murphy. I really like this movie. Alexander Payne, this is kind of the mode that I prefer him in, these tiny little character dramedies. Nebraska being my favorite still, but I like this movie a lot too. I think all three of the characters are interesting. Dominic Sessa also, really impressive first time performance from him. And it's just, it's a nice cozy movie. Like it doesn't really like get into the upper echelon for me because the emotional moments, I guess, never got to where they got for other people. But I think it's great. Like it's just a really nice movie.
Probably the best dad rock movie of the decade. It's phenomenal.
F1 came out, man.
Huh?
F1 came out. Isn't that
Yeah,
Dad Rock?
Fine.
Not Dad Rock.
It's not good. It's not that great. So.
No, this is great. I honestly I wish I have rewatched it because it is like it's a perennial like Christmas classic in the making. Like we got to give it time. I should be part of the class fucking inducting it in. I'm not fucking watching it. I wish I was. It is like really, really good. Dom, I am so disgustingly excited for Dominic Sessa's Anthony Bourdain movie, which I think is this year. Like put that shit in my veins. I am ready. Such an immediate like shot to stardom. Like
I can't believe I'm getting excited for a biopic, but I am.
Oh,
it's a food movie. You have to be excited.
well, it won't be a singer that had a bad past.
True. I know that Anthony Bourdain has a very interesting story. So.
Yes. All right. Now Spence, 7. What's your 7?
Yes. My 7 is Glass Onion. I will say there is not Wake Up Dead Man above this. This is my preferred of the two. I think that we have been blessed with, I think that there are 3 franchises that have kind of like a perfect batting average. And that is the Before trilogy, Mission Impossible, We Pretend 2 didn't happen. Everything else I deeply love, and Knives Out. I think that they're just absolutely incredible. I will be there literally every fucking day. And I know people have been like ragging on it since then about like kind of like it's not carrying like the intense weight of either of the other 2 movies. And it is like very funny. And they're saying that in a bad way. It's very funny in a positive way. I think Kate Hudson is quietly giving one of my favorite performances of the whole franchise here. She is absolutely hysterical with one of the best line readings of the decade. Even just like shifting the social commentary from like, ooh, rich white people are all racist, which like kind of into like truly just like a fucking sniper aimed at Elon Musk and just taking a fat shit on him for 2 hours is hysterical. I love what they're up to here, and the way that the climax ultimately builds into itself, and I don't know if a gotcha moment is the right way to phrase it, but everything building up to like the final use of the Mona Lisa, I think is really smart in a way that I don't really think of it as being like, oh yeah, I saw that coming, or like, oh, it all makes sense. It's like, oh no, that's a massive fuck you. It's it's great. It's both funny and smart while also maintaining like one of the great original characters for me, like Benoit Blanc. I will see anything he does. The way that they build the mysteries around him, as well as each of the movies has the main like supporting character who is like the B to his A player. And I think that Janelle Monáe is absolutely incredible in her dual performance, and the way that Helen and Andy kind of just seem like an accent making a difference. But now that I've seen it, 2 or 3 times, seeing the way that they carry the characters differently, the physical performance in it, especially when Andy is playing Helen, or Helen playing Andy, with Blanc versus compared to like at the house with all the people that should know her as Andy. It's phenomenal work.
Yeah, I'm a simple person. Murder mysteries, courtroom dramas, and murder mysteries. Basically, even bad ones will be probably. I'll enjoy most of it. I watched this one. I thought it was lesser than the other ones, and then when I rewatched it, I'm like, I enjoy them all basically the same for all different reasons. I'm an absolute slut for anybody that comes through and tells me well, you were here and you did this and this and this, and they give me a rundown. And let's go. I need the rundown. Give me the rundown. It works for me every time. I'm a simple man, easy to please. Yeah, I love the cast of characters. I like how interesting everybody. I remember the pushback is like, it feels COVID. You'll feel all the references. You'll hear all of it. I still know what the references are. It's not that I'm not lost on me. I don't roll my eyes when I see like old branding in other movies. I'm just like, what the fuck? We hadn't had that in 20 years. It just works for me. So yeah, I don't know. It's my favorite. My favorite was the original, and I like Wake Up Dead Man more than this, but who knows? But I agree with you with Mission Impossible. So I'll say about that. Besides two, everybody else in Glass Onion.
If you want to add another franchise to that, watch a little movie called Ernest Goes to Camp Adelaide, and that will open up a whole new world for me. I like this movie a lot. This is actually probably my least favorite Knives Out, because I like Wake Up Dead Man the most, but I think that it's still really good. It's a ton of fun. The only thing that knocks it for me, I think, is the who and what it is going after is a little bit low-hanging fruit. Like, it's a little bit of an easy target. I think that, the commentary on xenophobia that's in the first movie, and then the commentary on religion that's in Wake Up Dead Man, just hits a little bit harder for me.
Yeah, it's okay. If I want to see Elon Musk get trolled, I only have to go spend 3 minutes on Twitter. I don't have to watch a 2.5 hour long movie. And I think it really hurts that Johnson's like vitriolic hatred of these people in real life hurts the movie, because he's unable to like make them. He hates them so much he can't give them any credit, so he can't make them able to like go against Benoit Blanc. So you have to diminish Benoit Blanc. Like, Benoit Blanc is bad at Clue, so that's why he couldn't figure out what Ed Norton was doing. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. I hate that. The COVID stuff, it's like, ChatGPT, write me a script that takes place during COVID, and you hear exactly the first act is just those lines repeated, and that I was rolling my eyes till they hurt. That first act.
Is it fine though, Kirk, or do you have some other feelings?
It's the stuff with Janelle Monáe stuff is okay. Like, that's all right. But just the idea, like I said, I think the first one. Again, I'm not as high on the first one as everybody else is, but I think it was a lot smarter. It had a lot more to say. It was a lot more intelligent. This one is just like, hey, everybody, I hate Elon Musk and I hate people like him, and I'm going to scream on the top of my lungs for the next 2.5 hours, and you have to sit here and listen to me talk to it. So I'm not really interested in that.
But don't you hate like any slightly COVID related movie? Like, I think you gave like a bad review to 3,000 Years of Longing for the one like COVID reference.
No, my review for 3,000 Years of Longing was she got 3 wishes during COVID and did nothing.
You wouldn't want to fuck Idris Elba rather than solve COVID?
Okay.
She had 3 wishes.
Okay.
George Miller brings out the craziest arguments in everyone, like what he's saying, no gas in Mad Max Fury Road. But.
All I will say is Coho has moved Wake Up Dead Man from the 12th spot to the 13th spot. Replaced it with Ratatouille on his top 100. Scumbag.
But
I guess I just didn't really it makes a lot of sense that it's Elon Musk and stuff like that. I guess I just didn't pay, and I didn't know. I guess I didn't even notice
it's
that.
It's basically the villain in Cars 2, but better. He wants to make a clean fuel that's actually a bomb.
I mean, it makes perfect sense now that you guys put it as an Elon Musk. I just turned off my brain. I just didn't realize. I didn't process that. Go talk about your 6, because I like your 6.
Scott, back me up. Courtroom dramas, pretty fucking cool. Anatomy of a Fall.
I know where you're going, yeah.
This kind of rocked my world, because I think a movie that is, 2.5 hours in a foreign language is like, kind of sounds like not a me vibe. Just, me being perceived as like the Zoomer with some weird fucking takes in this community. But I think this is like a masterclass in tension building and having an unreliable narrator. I think that the character that Sandra Hüller, she's also called Sandra, that's great. the character that she creates is so captivating and yet quietly, I don't know if maniacal is the right word, but you genuinely, I think the movie does a very good job at building a narrative that you don't know how to fall on the side of. I will say by the end, I think she's innocent, but I know there's a lot of different opinions here or there. I figured it was Kirk or someone else was like, the dog fucking did it. But the fact that like that is a genuine take people can like write a fucking thesis paper on and it kind of makes sense speaks to the absolute brilliance of the screenplay, as well as the use of a steel drum cover of PIMP, which is fucking hysterical. And yet in the movie, you're like, oh my God, it's that fucking song. It all comes back to fucking Snoop Dogg. It's great. And I think one of the best kid performances in any movie ever. That little fucking kid is phenomenal. We're all talking about like, oh yeah, let's nominate Indy for best actor for Good Boy. Calm the fuck down. You nominate Messi. Messi is great. The dude clapped at the fucking Oscars. Put some respect on that man. I think for me, a lot of like modern movies don't love to commit. Like I know we talk about like the MCU being too quippy. I think in general, a lot of movies nowadays are like, oh, let's throw some comedy in there. Let's like lighten the tone up so like get everybody into it. This movie, I think, is one of the better examples of that not really being a necessity. There's not like ways to like alleviate anything or try to like get you through it. It truly trying to like present you with the facts while also making it incredibly captivating and keeping you locked in your seat. I watched this on my couch in the middle of January, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'll just fucking put this on. And I could not blink the whole time. It locked me in, and I think it's one of the like standout pieces of art of the decade.
Not blinking for that long sounds very painful to me.
I got eye drops. I'm good.
Proud of you. If I was trying to come up with my list for my best of the decade so far, and I kept coming back to this movie as a contention for it. I was blown away by it, honestly, when I watched it last year for the first time. I heard stuff about it. I think her performance is so good in this movie because, like, sure, there's questions of whether she did it or not. I'm also, like I said, a true crime kind of nut. I've deep dove into some court cases now and stuff like that. I've watched like more live court than I have in a long time. I'm becoming my mother is what's basically happening. She used to watch court TV and I'm like, this is so fucking boring. Now I'm like, objection. So now I kind of get it more. But I like her genuine like reaction to it, and like her lawyer having to like poke holes in her own like, could it possibly, they're going to do this, like where are you going to go, like what is this and like her having to like wrap her head around all of it, and then them trying to reenact where she thinks it's just an accident and she's just okay with it. And then when they caught it looking more, it's like, what are you talking about? And you get this whole like back and forth, and like the defense, the prosecution of it is like going at her, and like at such intense moments in the courtroom and stuff. And that courtroom is like one of the most like claustrophobic courtrooms I've ever seen. Like the people are on top of you in every direction. You can't breathe where you're at. It will take more watches. That's why I'm at it. But like I was floored by this movie. I couldn't even put my words into like a review of how I felt. And even I was pissed off at myself more than anything that I waited this long to watch it, because I was really fascinated by it.
Was this your first watch?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Not this. I watched it last year in July.
Okay.
So, but it was my very first watch of it, and the time flew by. Foreign film aspects, there's some in English, so it's not like a full, but it hooked me 100%. So, everybody else thoughts on Anatomy of a Fall?
Red Rooms taught me that Canadian court takes place in Apple Store. This movie taught me that in French court, anybody can just say anything at any time.
It's my literal worst nightmare,
and it's okay. like your lawyer can make a really like solid defense of something, and the other lawyer could be just like, yeah, but this person is stupid and they suck, and the judge is like, okay, yeah, we will take that under consideration. That's what made this the most hectic for me, was like she was just like under fire the whole time, because there was like, I mean, no, I don't know how like what French law is, but there seems to be like no protection for anybody. So like she just felt like it felt like she was just in danger the whole time of being convicted rightly or wrongly. And I think that adds so much attention. But yeah, I think it's really good. I love the fact that whenever this won an Oscar, they had to play PIMP as the walk-up music. I wish this would have swept just so they would have played that all night. But no, I really thought that it probably would have made my top 2025. Really solid movie.
After watching court cases and watching this, listen, there are some things that happen in the United States courthouse that you should be thankful for, like that they have to follow certain guidelines. Because gosh, it's the Wild West. It seems like in France.
Again, the fact that the defendants can talk at all is a problem because, from my perspective, the defendants should never be saying anything. No, this is a really good movie. I'm just glad that the courtroom drama is still alive and kicking because obviously I love that genre. Sandra Huller, as everyone says, great multi-layered performance. I think everyone's just kind of hit the highlights on this movie. It's a shining example of one of the best subgenres of film, in my opinion.
Did it win any Oscars?
Screenplay and international film. Yeah.
Okay, deserve both. Good. Okay. Number 5.
I think I can keep this one short because it's been talked about to death in the past few weeks. Sinners. Yeah, y'all didn't have 2025 films. This is not my favorite film of 2025. We'll get to that later. But I think the way that this kind of like took modern film culture by the throat is really fascinating because truly I didn't expect it. And we can talk about all about like the Variety shitty articles talking about like, oh, it only made 68 million. What a fucking crash or whatever. Like, I think it's really immaculate. And it took the second watch for me to like really lock in. And I forget what the other movie is. But listening to the critically acclaimed podcast, and they were talking about how one of the ways this stands out most is Coogler's first post-MCU original film. And how the whole narrative of this film is about white vampires, like people literally stealing identity, trying to encroach on black arts, and how it kind of served as a metaphor for how Coogler might have felt within the studio system, within Marvel as a whole. Comparing Kevin Feige to, I'm forgetting his fucking name, Jack O'Connell. And I think it kind of unlocked that for me. I think either Paul or Tom, somebody made a whole list about like MCU directors' first like post MCU movie, and finding this like running theme that really unlocked the narrative for the film as a whole for me. And I think really breaking down a lot of it as being a commentary on black art and white perception of black art, and really just breaking that down into like the very like one-to-one like classical interpretation of vampire mythos is also really fascinating. Obviously, with a core of a phenomenal Michael B. Jordan performance. One of the great scenes of the year with "I Lied to You," and somehow there's another great fucking music moment with Jack O'Connell busting his ass out to some Irish folk bangers. It is a masterful piece of culture that we're going to continue to analyze to death for the next however many years.
I talked about this twice. I'll talk about it again. Rue is crazy. It does take. No, I'm just kidding. I won't start the war. I think Sinners is really good. I think Sinners should win Best Picture. It's very rare when a movie comes out and gets completely 5 stars across the board. Everybody's talking about it. And then when I sit in the theater and I watch it, I'm like, they're right. It's pretty good. My only nitpick is the end. I've already said that multiple times, but other than that, I think it's a really strong movie. Everybody, Scott, I think you talked about it, but you can touch on it again, and then Kirk.
Yeah, Sinners is awesome. I agree with everything everyone says about it, and I think this movie shows the value of. I was talking about like sort of working with your same creative collaborators earlier when I was talking about Wes Anderson, and Coogler does that as well. And I think it just shows in every aspect of this film, like the care that everyone puts in. Like they clearly enjoy working with him and working with each other, and the love and care that they have just comes through in every frame of the movie. And I think that can't be overstated. And I also love the mid-credit scene. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just Buddy Guy saying, "It was the best day of my life." Just hits hard.
Yeah, I really like this movie. You know, to what Spence said about the MCU, it makes watching this makes me sad that Coogler spent so much of his prime stuck in that quagmire. If that really is the point of this movie, I hope other young filmmakers who have an arrow pointing up will take that as a cautionary tale and avoid that. Because I just imagine what he could have been making this movie, what he could have been doing the past 10 years if he wasn't making Black Panther movies. But yeah, I think it's great. Jack O'Connell is great between this and Bone Temple. Write this down. I guarantee you Jack O'Connell will be the next Bond villain. That's just a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. But I think he's so good at this, and just how creepy he is. And again, his music is good too. Like all the music in the Jew is good, but his music is good too. It all has like that feeling to it. It's so good. But yeah, really solid movie. Again, I didn't do 2025, but this is definitely worth being on the list.
I suggest every filmmaker make one movie inside the big thing because you'll get your name out there and probably be able to make whatever the hell you want after it. Just don't stay too long.
You hear that? Just one, only one. Barry Jenkins.
Don't stay there long. Just say one movie, get it done, make it good,
you only
and
had
get
to
the
make
hell out.
one. Why are you doing two?
Yeah, enjoy the money. So, but yeah. All right, you're number 4.
All right, I was Scott's friend. Now I'm Kirk's enemy. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, my number 4. This is in my top 100. I think that it's an incredibly personal movie for me. On top of just growing up being a Spider-Man fan, I think also at the end of the day, this movie stands out far above kind of any other comic book film the past 5 or 6 years because of the character of Gwen Stacy. And I know a lot of it is like fan perception or like not retconning, but like theorizing. But when I go to the movie, like each of the 3 times that I've seen it, it's always of the idea of like we have a trans lead character. And the way that the movie handles Gwen, especially the scene where she's like confessing that she is superpower to her father, makes me openly weep. Like it is so incredibly powerful. That alone probably like skyrockets it into my top 100 is like just a personal thing. And even on an objective sense, I think this is kind of a film that we need to study in the future of animation. The incredible way, I know that they did it in the first movie, but the way that they're kind of able to balance animation styles and I don't know the term like frame stuttering, like different characters being animated on 1s or 2s or 3s or any of that shit is like mind-boggling to think about from a creative sense with incredible action. And then the way that the world expands from the first movie into seeing this spider society and really embracing the concept of the multiverse that unfortunately Sam Raimi wasn't able to pull off. Like it's impossible for me to comprehend working on this film and their ability to kind of pull it all together, not just competently but fantastically. And even though like I think Kirk does raise a good point that we were presented with only like half of a movie, so it's only a partial story. I still think leaving it off where it did has kind of collectively, like as a culture, 99% of us who aren't Italians living in Pittsburgh are really excited to see what comes next, to the point that the studio is like rushing to get the movie out, and the director's like, no, we'll take our time because the fans deserve it. I think that this is incredible, and I really I don't know how they're going to follow this up. I think it's going to be a disappointment no matter what, because we've been waiting for the greatest thing ever for probably coming up in like 4 or 5 years by that point. But even just as this stands on its own, is a great Spider-Man movie and a great animated movie and just a great film.
Yeah, it's my fourth favorite Spider-Man movie. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not. There's three movies I like more. Um, it's my favorite between the two of them. I was kind of down on it the first time I watched it. I thought, again, it's a long movie for don't because it just puts so much stake on Beyond to be as good to close the loop because people were like, oh, it shouldn't matter. It will 100% matter to me. I'm sorry if Beyond sucks. Like I can't. This doesn't mean shit anymore. Like this is fine. It's a good, but you tied it together for a reason. So that's why I'm nervous about it. If I could go in time and make one movie right now, nail it, it'd be really hard for me not to pick this right now because I need it to be good. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. I don't have any clue of how they make this stuff. It's crazy. It is long. They're making a lot of creative decisions, but I also think it's some of the best character development in a Spider-Man movie. So I think that's impressive. So I'll give it that. I mean, I get it. Disagree with Kirk. The best way I can describe it. But his review's got like 87 likes. So there's a lot of fuckers out there that like it. That's like my D2 the Mighty Ducks review that keeps getting likes every day.
I think we all have one.
Yeah,
Hate You by the Dozen is like 200 likes. Like I'm fucking.
I was like, Goldberg is a horrible.
200.
Me calling out Gordon Bombay on his deciding to leave Goldberg and the fucking thing is
what I found on Letterboxd is when you are in the minority, you go find your people.
Yeah.
You find each other. There's not a lot of you, but you find each other.
Kirk and Scott.
I'll let Kirk, I guess, go last since he's the alternate take. But yeah, great movie, fantastic movie. I think I do agree with Cody. Like, yeah, a lot rides on the third movie still for me because I do have some cynicism about this idea that every single franchise just has to be, oh, we're just trying to get to the next thing. We're just trying to get to the next thing. And there can never be an ending, right? So I want Beyond to be really good and I want it to be the end. Or, maybe one more. I don't know. But I want them to have a plan in mind, right? Because I think we've seen what happens when there's no plan and it's just, oh, we just have to get to the next thing because more people will show up and put butts in seats. And then
Toy Story 5.
Yeah. But I fully trust the people who are involved with these movies. Obviously, Lord and Miller and their whole team to put together something special just because I think the ideas that they're working towards with like breaking free of the canon and the standard narratives that hold us back is such a refreshing and strong idea to hear in a comic book movie. So I'm excited for the third one, and I love the other two for now.
Yeah, the movie is long. I think that's one of the biggest criticisms of it. It's a long movie. So in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to give you a really quick synopsis. There you go. You've seen the movie. I exaggerate. That's not the whole thing, but I think that's a big part of it. I like the first movie. I feel like I'm not as high. I don't think that's one of the greatest movies of the century either, like a lot of people do. I think it's really good. But I think it was like, hey, this movie is really good. We had like 4 or 5 different versions of Spider-Man, and everybody loved it. What if we had all the Spider-Man and crammed them all in and just fed that to everybody and made that a huge part of the middle of the movie? That I found really annoying. I do think there's some good character stuff, but it's so bloated. Like I said, I don't mind that it's half a movie. I mind that's 2.5 hours. It's half a movie. What I really think they should have done is given one of these movies, the second movie, to either Miles or to Gwen, and then given the third movie to the other one, and made it their movie. And the fact that they try to squeeze both their stories into this, I think is just too much. And I think it's overlong, it's overstuffed. And also, I'm sick of multiverse. I've had enough of multiverse, and I just want to see a regular Spider-Man movie.
That's fair.
MCU made him into Iron Man's sidekick, and these movies make him some like dimension traveler who is like central to the continued existence of the space-time continuum. I just want to see Spider-Man fighting Hammerhead and stopping him from robbing banks. Give me that movie, please.
Yeah. Okay. We're on to threes. Scott, what is your three? Jack.
Your boy Jack.
What? Yes. 7. Babylon.
Yikes.
Fuck yeah.
6. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. 5. Oppenheimer. 4. Dune Part 2.
That tracks. All track.
Oh, yeah. And his 3 was Sinners. All right. Scott, what is your 3?
My number 3 by Paul Thomas Anderson. Not that one. It's Licorice.
One battle.
This is just one of those movies that I want to live in, right? It's just the world and the community that this movie creates is so intoxicating, other than the racist part with John Michael Higgins. But other than that, this movie just, is the type of coming of age, sort of plotless story that I like, of just people trying to figure themselves out when they're, at a place of growing up in life, obviously different ages, but sort of going through similar experiences. And it's so entertaining to watch, hilarious. Maybe PTA's funniest movie. Of course, Bradley Cooper's appearance is unforgettable. That whole sequence is the best part of the movie to me, and what they do to his car and him just walking up over the hill when they think that they have got one over on him by leaving the waterbed running is just so funny, and he's insane. Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim are both giving like star-making performances in this movie. They have such great chemistry with each other that you really get invested in both of these characters, even though Gary's kind of a shyster, and Alana's character, is her name is Alana in the movie too, right? Why can't I think? Yeah. So even though she's like, okay, why are you hanging out with this kid? Like, why aren't you getting your life together? They're drawn together, and there's something that the other person provides that nobody else can provide. And that special sort of connection is, sometimes something that you feel, especially when you're in your youth. And I think the movie does an amazing job of portraying that. And yeah, it's just a wildly entertaining, intoxicating movie, like I said, and beautiful period details and everything as well. Like California in this time period really comes to life. It looks, gorgeous. It has great colors and everything that are missing from so many movies. I just think it's great. I mean, this is one that as soon as I saw the trailer, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a masterpiece. I mean, forget the fact even that it's Paul Thomas Anderson, you can kind of just tell, but this is one of his best.
Went down a little bit on rewatch, but I still enjoy the movie. I guess this is crazy now to say, because I don't think the movie looks that great. I guess that's something crazy that I just apparently just stumbled on this time. I like the connection between them. I love Bradley Cooper. I love the overall story. It just didn't, like, 3.5 stars is not like a terrible movie. It just doesn't go to like an all-time. I think there are better Paul Thomas Anderson movies out there that I enjoy, but I didn't have a bad time watching it at all. Like, it stays between that 3.5 to 4-star range for me. It's been a while since I watched it. I mean, I didn't drop it to 1.5 star like Coho and be like, this is fucking bore. What the hell happened to this movie? It just didn't overall. I still enjoyed it. It just didn't climb that level for me. Everybody else?
I would highly recommend a video essay about this movie by Broy Deschanel. Kind of a kitschy name. Genuinely really great essayist. Highly recommend her. Breaking down the idea of, is representation endorsements, which I think is like kind of boils down a lot of my issues with this movie. Is I do think it's very funny, and I do think it's very watchable. It's as like not a huge PTA fan, I do enjoy it more than like the average film of his. But at the end of the day, I think every part of this movie would be made better if he was a little older. I think that if a movie has such a fundamental flaw that is so easy to fix, I can't be here and stand like as a fervent fan. And even on top of that, like again, as someone who's not a PTA fan, there's a lot of it that I just don't really connect with. I think there are great vignettes. Obviously, like fucking Bradley Cooper and Sean Penn, both like really great in their like couple of scenes. But as a whole, it doesn't totally click. And again, ew.
It's a really good movie. I like it. I don't love it. It's just a weird. I'm not saying this in a negative way, but it's a weird movie. It's like a childhood fantasy made for adults, where you have this kid. He's in high school. Like he's an entrepreneur. He runs these businesses. He does. He has an older girl who's into him. He has all these connections. It feels like that's a story a child would tell. But it's told obviously in a very adult manner. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying this is a negative. I'm saying this is something I like about the movie because of just how off it is, and that's why I don't necessarily have the problem that Spence does. Like I get it's uncomfortable, but I'm okay being uncomfortable in it. I do think Bradley Cooper is his whole highlight of the movie. I love that, but I just enjoy like all these like misadventures of these characters. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, it wasn't going to make my top 10, but I have no problem with it being there.
I miss the debates around this movie.
I know.
I just go home and like I do. That's the one thing I do agree. Like it's Son's thing you could have changed. It's just so weird because I think
it's not clear that they have a romance. So
That's like the whole point of the finale.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That's not what we came here. But
dude, we can bring it. But let's fire this motherfucker back up. All right, Kirk, what's your 3?
Okay, this was just earlier. My number 3 is Perfect Days. Wim Wenders, great movie about a man in Japan who cleans toilets for a living. I wish any building in America was made with the love and attention and detail that Japanese public toilets are made with. I mean, I would like, what's the rent there? That's crazy. But no, it's just about this guy going through his very mundane day after day, to the point where, in the hands of a lesser filmmaker, this would be unbearable. Because one of the things I hate, whether it's in a movie or a TV show, is just repetitiveness and seeing the same thing over and over again without any progression. And you get this in here. You get his routine multiple times. But it's so well done because the way you connect with the character and just his view of his life. I love how like intently and aggressively aimless the movie is. Throughout especially the first act and a half, you're introduced to certain situations of different characters, and you're like, oh, that's what this movie is going to be about. And then those things immediately go away, and the cycle of what the movie is really about just starts over. And I love that. Again, it's not something I should enjoy, but it's just so well done. His performance is really good. You just fall in love with this guy, and just his joy he gets from the little things in his life. The representation of just listening to music while you're going to work, on the drive to work, is so great. He doesn't sing along to that's I think it bothers me. You sing along to this song. He and I have
he doesn't speak English, so
that's true. But he listens to the songs enough. He should pick something up. He and I share a lot of crossover on our commute playlist. So I like that. And then towards the middle half of the movie, it does kind of settle into a plot about him and a strange niece. You find out some about Strange's family, but that's not really what it's about. It's just about again, his daily life and just enjoying life for what it is and what comes. And that's so hard to do, but this movie like just captures that perfectly. So yeah, that's why it's one of my favorites of the decade.
Yeah, this was my number 10. I completely agree. Definitely one of those movies that helps you appreciate the beauty in everyday existence and just depicting this guy doing little things that we probably also have done during our days or do during our days, like elevates them to this sublime, which I love when a movie can do that. And yeah, to Kirk's point, it could only do that, I think, because it's in the hands of a director like Vim Vendors, who has such a light touch with this sort of material. Koji Yakusho, yes, the lead actor, fantastic performance where he doesn't really have that much dialogue, but it all kind of builds to a moment of facial acting at the end that I think is extremely compelling and really pays off. And yeah, I put this in my Letterboxd review, but this is just a movie. This guy's the most relatable guy ever. He just goes around, he listens to rock music, he watches a baseball game several times in this movie, and he's reading Faulkner. Like, this guy is literally me for real. So, of course, I love this movie.
I think you both know what I'm going to say about this movie. Like, I think it's fine. It just didn't grab
You might
me.
like it.
Yeah, I just and I there's a chance that I could have hated this movie.
Yeah.
Just with the mundane and everything going around it. I had to cram a lot of movies, so it was a movie that, not that I was, when I got everybody's listen, this appeared twice, and I'd never heard of it prior. I just didn't. It may have been brought up before, but I didn't know about it, and I just didn't know what to fully expect. And I was like, "Oh, that's a movie," but I didn't have a bad time with it. It didn't like hook me. So, but I mean, you guys seem to really enjoy it. It didn't get over that level for me. Spence, have you seen it?
I have not seen any Vim Vendors movies.
I think I've only seen the one of it.
Couple other
Paris,
ones.
Texas. Now this. Yeah, I've seen Paris, Texas, and now this. Okay. Spence, if I can find my tab again. What is your 3?
It is my other 2025 movie, Sentimental Value. Okay. I will say, before I get too into this, I'll give Future Me a caveat and say this also could be like a co-owned spot with Worst Person in the World. I haven't rewatched it yet. I think they're probably very close in quality. I can compare the two on a rewatch. My whole top 3, I think, really boils down to like a point of art that I really enjoy, which is, why do we make art and why do we consume art? What does it mean to us as individuals? And I think this takes a really great entry point into it about, like, you know, creatives within the film industry, within art. Why does Gustav, you know, direct movies? What does film mean to him as a director? And how does his preference for art over human connection, how does that impact his family? And I think the whole film kind of like is a pyramid from there and kind of builds out from that central thesis. And I think it is absolutely incredible at not just breaking down the side effects of someone putting career over their family, but really just talking about how it influences both of his daughters' relationships with arts. And it's all like, even aside from that, you have Elle Fanning's character, who, I prefer Inga. However, I think that she is given an absolutely thankless job that she's incredible in, of an incredible actress who is the wrong fit for the movie. So as the movie keeps going, her performance within the performance gets clearly worse. I have no idea the fucking mental hoops you need to jump through to pull that off, but she does it immaculately. And the movie also has, I think, standout scenes about Reinsva interacting with herself as an actress, kind of like her current mental state influencing her performance, whether it's like, you know, one of the early scenes about her doing that like weird avant-garde play and needing to like get into the headspace, or the really trippy moving camera shot of all of the members of the family and Rachel Kemp like kind of like morphing into each other as the mental state and the state of chaos of that whole like core foursome kind of meld into each other, make everybody both better and worse as people at the same time. It is brilliant. I wish I could have had time to rewatch this, but I think, like, yes, it's got like a Best Picture nomination, but I think that people aren't talking about this the way that they should. And I think Joaquin Trier is, like, to me, one of the defining voices of the decade as it builds.
It's my top. It's in my top 20 of the year. I think it's really, really, really strong movie. I think it's. I love how they're able to do the estranged relationship and like him not knowing how to like even bridge that gap and how they react to it and stuff like that. I think there's just such strong performances. I wasn't the biggest fan of The Worst Person in the World. I probably need to rewatch that movie. I think it was 3.5 stars when I watched it. It wasn't. I think this is 4. I just think it's a really smart performance, and I think this one just hits closer to home, so that was why it jumped a little bit higher for me. So overall, I think it's a very strong case. And I kind of agree with you because like I feel like the Worst Person in the World, people were like raved and talked about, which they should if that was your movie. But I don't feel like this one got to that level, and it's probably maybe people just don't think it's the same quality or a little bit lower. But it seems like after I watched it, I was like, if I liked it, I'm surprised it's not being raved about as much as I thought it would be. But everybody else.
Yeah, I think this is my number 11 of the year. I like it a lot. Not as much as Worst Person in the World, which is my number 11 of the decade. It was the first movie that missed this list, but I think sentimental value is really good. I think the only thing that holds me back is that the movie, it kind of is exactly what I expected it to be in terms of the ideas that it explores, and it explores them with a lot of depth. And, more so than a lot of filmmakers would have brought. But I think that there was something surprising about Worst Person in the World that, hit harder for me. But I agree. I think Elle Fanning deserves more credit for this movie. The scene where she's like having to perform the big, monologue, and she's doing it, but to your point, she's just not quite doing it right. She's missing the personal element, right? That she just is not capable of bringing because she's not the person who this scene is about. And the tight line that she has to walk there in that scene, it's really impressive. Something I haven't seen from her, although I generally like her performances. So she deserves credit, and Inga Ibsdottir-Lilius, I think, also definitely the other highlight amongst a very good cast overall.
This is the last of like the big Oscar nominees I have to see. I checked Just Watch today. It's coming to Hulu March 23rd, and I'm cheap, so I'll be waiting to see it then.
That's me with Secret Agent.
Fair enough. Jack's 3 was Sinners. So, Scott, what's your 2?
All right. You knew I was not going to leave one of this man's films out. We may be talking about another one, actually. But number 2, Red Rocket by Sean Baker. Apologies, because I'm going to get political for a second, but this is a political movie. This movie is one of the best movies about the way that we got to where we are today, I think, in America, because Mikey Saber is easily a stand-in for certain figures in American politics nowadays that have a lot of power, mainly in the way that he manipulates people by providing specifically these lower income people who are not as well educated, perhaps, in this small town in Texas. He manipulates them by giving them something that they want, whether it's sex or providing a drug dealer for them or just being a buddy. He's providing for everyone's needs, and he's making them feel seen, with him being this person who is seen as oh, he's the guy who made it, right? He got out of town. He was making movies now. They were a particular type of movie, but still, he got out. He was successful. And now he's come back and he's paying attention to us. And, and in spite of the fact that this Mikey is still the same shit talking guy, like, they believe him because he's providing for what they want and what they need, or at least he says that he's going to be doing that. And I think, Sean Baker, there's some of it in the background, right? Because this is going on during the 2016 election. You hear Trump speaking at various times, just sort of in the background on people's TVs and stuff like that. That's as much as you're ever going to get from Sean Baker, because he's not one to push any sort of message out there. And that's why I love him so much as a filmmaker. But you can tell that he's sort of juxtaposing the rise of what's going on in politics with this smaller town story of how somebody like Mikey can sort of ingratiate his way into the lives of these people, even though he's clearly, a shyster, like I said, and he's clearly just a shit talker, and he still has charisma somehow. This is another one of those characters where you don't know why you find yourself, like, quote unquote, rooting for him, but you do at various times because he is so charismatic. And a lot of that is Simon Rex's performance, perfectly cast in this movie. That's something about Sean Baker. His movies are always perfectly cast. And as I alluded to earlier, this movie also has that street level casting that he's so good at doing. Like, he literally found some of these people just by walking around and saw one girl who was walking her dog, said, hey, you're going to be in the movie. And she has a, not insignificant role. Somebody else was like, I think a cook or something at a restaurant he was at. Like, it's crazy the way that he does this, but it works. And all of these people feel so real. And, again, all of them are playing off of a more experienced actor in Simon Rex, but you could never tell because they all just seem like they belong. Susanna Sun, who plays Strawberry, the young girl that he's involved with. And, oh, by the way, that's another element that might be connected to the way that the place that we are today in politics is that this guy also likes underage girls. Make of that what you will. But Susanna Sun
running theme on this list, Scott,
is giving a really heartbreaking performance in this movie. The scene at the end where she says, "You make me so happy, Mikey," is just like kills you because you know that this guy is going to ruin her life probably. But I think there is something hopeful in the end because the people finally decide to rise up against him. And by the way, the people are mostly women and people of color and minorities who say, okay, fine, we're finally done with you, Mikey, and expel him from the town. But there's still Strawberry there. And again, the movie leaves you with this uncertainty of what is going to happen there, but it's probably not going to be good. So just a cautionary tale for our time, but also, a Sean Baker movie. It's a very funny movie at times. It just sort of coasts along on its his own brand of slice of life filmmaking, and I think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, I really love Red Rocket. I love basically the 3 movies I've seen of Sean Baker's. I still haven't seen Tangerine, but I think the way he's able to build a cast with non-actors is some of the most impressive work, and then to get the performances he does out of them is even more incredible. Yeah, I think this movie, there's always something like really just tragic about his stories, with even the way that he's able to deliver some humor moments throughout it, but like how it just ends. It's most likely his characters are not going to get the happy ending like some characters do, which I think is impressive that he's able to build that. Yeah. Anybody else on Red Rocket?
Sean Baker don't miss. He's 4 for 4 as far as I'm concerned. I think all his movies are great.
Watch the others too. They're all good.
He is. How many does he have? What's his?
He's got probably got 7 or so because he's got his early movies, which used to be hard to find, but you can find most of them now.
Okay.
Takeout, Starlet, Prince of Broadway.
Yeah, I'll check those out. I started at Tangerine and went from there. But yeah, I think like Scott said with his casting, I think he does such a great job, and he just presents in all his movies. I think he presents these people so that the people in a certain place in life and in society in the world. I think he presents them so well. It just kind of puts them there and shows you. Doesn't make it like he doesn't pass judgment. He doesn't show any like level of victimhood. It just this is who they are. This is how they live. Nora, I think, is probably the most Hollywood of his movies, but I think that's intentional as well. I love the way this movie looks. The way he takes this kind of underprivileged area that time and the world has kind of passed by and is kind of breaking down with these abandoned factories and whatnot, and the way he shoots them, there's a real beauty to it. So yeah, I think it's a great movie. I don't know, probably of the 4 I've seen, this is probably number 4, but it's still pretty high. I think it's a really solid movie.
This is probably my least favorite of his that I've seen. And I don't think there's any like clear reason why. It just doesn't quite hit for me the same way that the other ones do. I don't think I have a solid entry point where, again, like Baker is very good about creating protagonists that you don't necessarily have to empathize with, but you are still there. Like you understand who they are and how they got there. And this, I think, is like the hardest of his movies for me to really like approach with that mindset, because I don't like him and I don't want to spend the film with him. And even from a purely like objective perspective, I'm not quite clicking with the story that Baker's trying to tell. I prefer what he does with non-actors in both Tangerine and Florida Project. Like this is just kind of his most there movie for me, and that's even as someone who's not a huge fan of Anora. Like I think that he's almost getting worse with each movie. Where I think that's like Tangerine and Florida Project are really great, and I think he's kind of losing the sauce more and more. And I'm hoping his next movie gets better, because I do miss the Baker that I've been following like 10 years ago.
You didn't like Anora, or did you?
It's slightly above this. I don't really click with the final scene. Like that's like kind of like my big like handicap for it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's kind of one of the best parts.
Their relationship is just, it does not fucking work for me at all. So there's no like emotional weight going into the car. Like it loses me, that it doesn't connect.
okay. Kirk, what's your 2?
My number 2 is The Tragedy of Macbeth. I mean Denzel, Shakespeare. I got to be true to myself. Have this on here. Honestly, high. I think there's a great adaptation. I mean, obviously, you put Denzel in that role. We can do villain Denzel so good, make him one of the greatest villains of all time. And he just sinks his teeth into it. Frances McDormand's Lady Macbeth. I think the two. I hear a lot of criticism of like their chemistry. I think they're great together. I think it just maybe just because they're both such great actors that it's hard for them not to be. But I think they really bring the depth of this couple to life. Just when they hit like the high points, like the stuff from Macbeth, just reading high school or whatever. I think they hit those so well. I love Catherine Hunter as the weird sisters, is so freaky and just so like otherworldly. Alex Hassel as Ross, who was also in Violent Night. I think just him, like what he brings to that role, that may or may not necessarily be in the text, I think is really interesting. I think Cohen just does a really good job. The way this movie looks, I think it takes a lot from Laurence Olivier's Hamlet, where you kind of this could potentially be on a stage, but you have that like real stark black and white, and everything they do with that is just so great. So yeah, again, I love. I mean, I could list you off a long list of movie adaptations of this story that are great. It's probably the one that's been done the most. And again, it's hard to get wrong because of just how good the source material is. But I think they just knock it out of the park with this one.
Sorry. Yeah. Shakespeare's not my guy. I think everybody knows that. I just don't. I'm not the biggest fan. I do find this movie very fascinating. I went down a little bit on rewatch. This just is one of those 100% like, hey, Denzel's. When people say Denzel is one character or one guy or one thing that he does, then like this is my perfect example of like, hey, no. Just because he talks a certain way does not mean he's the same actor in everything he does. Like just because he uses my guy a little bit or my man a few times, like that doesn't make him that. I think this just he is getting better with age, which is scary to see. Like for some actors, like because like his performances, he's just seasoned. He knows exactly where to go, and with this fact that Frances McDormand and Denzel waited this long to work together is just a sad thing for the rest of us. Overall, I think it's a great movie. It's just hard for me to like put it on that next echelon because half the shit they're just I don't like Shakespeare speak. So at that time, it's like this. I'm battling with it the entire time, and everybody's like, "That's so good." Blame my English teachers. I don't know what to tell you. They may force me to read that shit, and it drove me crazy, and it still drives me
You're
crazy.
more of a Christopher Marlowe fan, is that it?
Sure. Well, I don't know what that means, but yeah, perfect. Everybody else in the tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah, I like this movie. I like Shakespeare, so I'm also an easy mark for it. At the same time, I kind of think it's just we're doing the Shakespeare play with some amazing actors, to be fair. And so, of course, I enjoy watching it, but like as a movie, I don't think of this as like, oh, this is one of the best movies ever because it's just like we're doing Shakespeare in black and white with some great actors. But anyway, I mean, it's still a great time to watch. Obviously, Denzel doing Shakespeare. Yeah, like we're very fortunate to get to see that. And shout out, I'm glad you mentioned him, Alex Hassel. Not to be this guy, but when I did my study abroad in the UK, we saw Alex Hassel play Henry V in Stratford, and it was so good that when they transferred to London, we went and saw it again. He was amazing as Henry V. So it was cool to see him in a movie also because I only knew him from that. And when he popped up in a movie, I was like, oh my gosh, he's in movies now. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. It's just like not going to be on any list for me because it's just, again, exactly what you expect, but done very well.
I think fine's too like demeaning. It is baseline good. I massively respect the movie. I just can't quite connect with it. I think the movie intentionally is like meant to feel kind of distant, and that might just be like a hard point of entry for me. I will say though, I think that's better than Denzel, better than Francis. Catherine Hunter gives the performance of the movie. She is just a little freak, and I love her. I think that she steals every single scene she's in, and retroactively, because of that one performance, I now notice her in like any movie that she's in. And she has just been like one of those like character actors that I always look forward to seeing in movies, simply from, I won't call it a bit part, but like a part of Macbeth that like people don't really think about anymore. And then it's like, oh no, here's the witches. And I fucking love her so much.
It's so weird to see her like as a normal person because you're like, because I'm the same thing. Like I've noticed her so much more now than I did before. And you're like, oh, that's just like a normal lady. And it's like, how did just a normal lady do those things? Like that had to be some kind of like just weird freak they let out of a cage. And also for bragging about, Scott's going to brag about the plays he's seen. I got to see Denzel and Othello on Broadway last
I
year.
figured you were going to bring that up.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, so good. So he was probably better in that than he was in this. But he's so good. Muted.
All right, Spence, what is your two?
I think that Steven Spielberg has directed 2 damn near perfect movies in the 2020s.
I thought you were going to say ever.
I think, unfortunately, one of them has Ansel Elgort, so it does not make the top 10. The Fabelmans does, though. Again, I think I'm a sucker for movies about like people confronting their relationship with art, and there is a bigger jaw drop than Spielberg literally confronting his own demons by having him film his own parents' like big fight and divorce. Like, how fucked in the head do you have to feel that you're like, yeah, I am the reason my parents got divorced? Great, I think a lot of kids with divorce do that. However, I think the way that he kind of like confronts himself and holds himself accountable is incredible. Oh my, what's his fucking name? Gabriel LaBelle comes on the scene out of fucking nowhere, and he hits the line, "I have a monkey at home that's smarter than you." Like, I think it is ridiculous the way, like, we're in like a post-Bohemian Rhapsody society where people taking part in movies about themselves kind of create trash, and it is like an ego drive. And then Spielberg, I think, tosses that all aside and sees himself as more than just like a victim of circumstance, kind of his own greatest enemy. And seeing the lives of like your average, like 50s, Jesus Christ, your average like 50s family and the struggles they go through, and even just like out of the, is it 50s? I think I'm going, no, it is 50s. Okay, yeah. And even just like his mom's like undiagnosed mental health and how she suddenly finds love with Seth Rogen, way better than any of us thought that he would be. The movie is so incredibly powerful in ways that, again, like really shocked me going into it, because I like prior to this, I didn't really see myself as a Spielberg fan. A lot of his biggest movies to me were blind spots somehow. And this kind of served as the codex for everything he's ever made. Not to lose all of my free will, but I am a blank check listener, and listening to the podcast, especially their Spielberg series, really helps deepen my love for him as a filmmaker. And again, using this as the lens to view everything he has made before and after, about the way that he picks screenplays or that he contributes, about like the way that he interprets the female characters in his movies, or about why film is important, about why family is important to everybody. And fucking my goat, Janusz Kaminski, shoots the absolute shit out of this like small human story and make it look like absolute like fucking poetry, like a religious text. It is fucking incredible what he's able to do with a camera. You would not believe this is the same guy who did Cool as Ice. I could talk endlessly about the brilliance of this film, but it's still only number 2.
Blank check is one of the worst things ever. Not because of the podcast, I haven't listened to a single episode, but Coho ranked his Spielberg movies, and he should never be allowed to like watch movies and rank shit ever. That list is an abomination.
Bridge of Spies.
And, I think it's higher than the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is hilarious. Jaws was like 14. I think The Fabelmans is really good. I really do. I think it's a really strong movie. It would be pretty high on my list as well. I just don't run to it as much and watch it. I don't ever really get the urge to really watch it, and that's always one of my biggest like critiques of like. And it's crazy. Like there's certain movies that are way longer and way sad or depressing than I run to. And this is just not one of them. I think it's really well made. I think a lot of people in this community just love watching movies about movies being made. It's like one of their like favorite things. And it works for them. This movie I think is I think this is another director that gets better with age, and he's making really good movies. When he doesn't make like CGI just garbage, but that's
I might have missed it. Did you say that you rewatched it for this, or
I have not. I did not.
Okay. I will say, for me, it was originally a 4, and the rewatch is what cemented it on this list. It is like shockingly watchable. I recommend it if you want to take time.
Yeah. Okay. Scott. Kirk.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is probably like in my next 10 that didn't make it. This movie's amazing. And yeah, I think what's most amazing is how sort of unflinching and dark it gets at times, because Spielberg's basically saying I had to choose between like my family and being a movie director, and I chose to be a director. And you know, he's not over sentimentalizing or glossing over anything, I don't think. He's really, you know, again, getting into the experiences he had with his family and the trauma probably that he still has from some of that, and balancing all of that with the celebration of, you know, film and filmmaking. And obviously the note that he chooses to leave us on is one of the greatest last scenes in the movie ever for me. I'll never forget watching that in the theater. So this is why he's one of the GOATs, because he never just phones it in, right? Like this could have just been something tacky and over sentimentalized, and he goes for the most interesting choice at every turn.
Good movie. Love the David Lynch cameo at the end. What this comes down to for me, though, and I'm going to be honest and vulnerable for a minute, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. If you like this movie, I don't make you feel bad about it. But what ultimately comes down for me is, as somebody whose family was basically destroyed by a person who decided to live by the philosophy of you don't owe your life to anybody, and is still watching their family in a lot of ways pick up the pieces 30 years later, it is impossible for me to feel an ounce of sympathy towards Michelle Williams' character in this movie. And that's such a huge part of it. And it really makes it impossible for me to connect. Makes me wish I had like Steven Spielberg's talent to lean on and like use that to get over it. Unfortunately, I don't, so I had to live with it. So it really makes this movie a hard watch for me. But again, that's my very personal conversation with the movie. I don't expect that to have an impact on anybody else.
That is fair. Jack is number 2 was Nosferatu.
I mean, good movie, but okay.
And his number 1 was The Fablemans. So
Yeah.
Jack is all right. Final ones. Scott, what is your number 1?
We've had some agreement, we've had some disagreement, but we all can come together now, because we all remember where we were when Lydia Tarr showed up to conduct Mahler's Fifth and stumbled over herself. I started making this list. I started with number 1, and it wasn't close for me, because this is the one. Todd Field made a mass Tarr piece with this movie, and it hasn't been topped yet this decade. I think about this movie probably every day. I mean, seriously, the ideas that he puts on the table. But, you know, this is the perfect example of a movie that poses so many interesting questions, but doesn't really answer any of them, leaves you to stew in them, which is what I crave in movies. That experience. And it is just one of the all-time character studies to me. Obviously, the performance is a big part of that. Cate Blanchett, probably the highlight of her career, and that's saying something for someone of her pedigree. But I think it earns that title. But exploring so many interesting topics through its exploration of this character, this woman who has risen to a power of prominence as a conductor, as a composer. And we kind of learn about her past, and we learned that that was very difficult for her to do, obviously, as a woman. But now she exists. She achieved what she wanted to, and now she, has this position of prominence, and she's in a world where things have changed. And she encounters, for example, this young cellist who, is not having as hard of a time as she is to rise up in the world. And there's resentment and there's jealousy, but there's also this weird attraction that she has to this girl, because no one is feeling just one emotion at any time. All of the emotions are so complex. All of the moral issues that this movie is presenting, whether it's like that Juilliard scene, which is unforgettable, obviously, where is talking about the idea of separating the art from the artist. The movie doesn't necessarily give you, again, a clear example on what is right, or everything that's going on in Lydia's past, the things that the vices that she has fallen prey to. And again, I think that's an interesting element of the movie, the idea that now that she's become powerful, she's almost put her gender, aside, and now she is falling prey to the vices that so many powerful men have fallen prey to. She's almost masculinized herself in a lot of ways, and that has worked out for her, and also it eventually is her undoing because of again, the vices that she indulges. But also, again, she's a woman, so we feel some manner of empathy for her because what she had to do to get to this position. And so there's just so much complexity. Cate Blanchett's performance is amazing, and I just find a movie that is operating on this intellectual register to just be absolutely thrilling. That Juilliard scene, again, unbelievable. But there's so many scenes that are like that. I think Noémie Merlant and Nina Hoss are giving great supporting performances in this movie. So many little choices that they make that I could talk, on and on about. This is the movie. It's the one that I think will be talked about for years and years to come. Certainly by me, but also by, I think, a lot of people, because it's a relevant movie, but also just taking the relevance out of it. It's just a character, as a character study. It's just endlessly fascinating, and you just want to think about it forever.
Yeah, Tar's fantastic. Tar is one of those movies that I'm still pissed off. I don't care. I think, what is it, Everything Everywhere All at Once? Isn't that this year? Same year?
Yes.
I still think Cate Blanchett. I think her performance is absolutely insane. I'm not a classical music fan at all. At all. Could care.
It's not really about classical music,
right?
Thing, so yeah.
Correct. But my reviews made me care about this, and her overall, just how complex her character is, and the ranges that she's able to get to is just crazy to me. I didn't know how I'd feel about this movie when it started, and it is one of the quickest movies I've ever watched, even though the runtime is long. It flies by. So yeah, if I made my list, this would be very high in the top 3 or 4. So
I will also say that this movie prompted the longest Letterboxd review that I've ever written. So I said a lot more eloquent stuff probably there. So go read that instead of listening to what I had to say here.
Kirk Spence.
This is a movie that I respect more than I like. I think it's very good. I'm not going to be here and be like, oh yeah, it sucks. It's not slow. It's purposeful. It's not a dig against the movie. It's not totally my vibe. I do agree with you. She was fucking robbed. As much as I do, I think Michelle Yeoh was great. This was Cate Blanchett's Oscar to lose. She's getting maybe the best performance of the decade, period, not just in her category. It's just, it's a lot of movie to get through. And again, like challenging is not always my vibe. I will like one of my favorite bits of like Oscar campaigning is the fact that they submitted Apartment for Sale, her like improvised song to go out of her fucking building for the original song. And there is a world that is performed at the Oscars, and I wish we were in that one other than fucking Diane Warren getting another stupid fucking nomination.
For the Hot Cheetos movie or whatever.
Flaming hot.
Yeah, performance of the century so far for me. Definitely. Side note, top to bottom, worst year ever for acting Oscars. This was the least egregious of the four, but they were all bad. But I mean, again, Michelle Yeoh was not doing anything wrong, but she was just
Jamie Lee Curtis was.
just on a completely different
Rewatching that, jeez, wrong.
just completely different stratosphere that Kate Blanchett was on here. Just again, no disrespect to anybody she would have beat, but you couldn't compete with this. A lot of people said they watched this, thought it was like a biopic, that she was a real person. I thought the first 10 minutes, I'm like, is this a documentary? Because the character is just so real and
Bro.
Insane.
That was my thought for the first 30. I was like, I'm typing in Google, like, who is this bitch?
Yeah.
She's got the most complex character I've ever seen. Yeah, not. But I was hooked. I was like, what is this?
And to what Scott was saying about just her character, I think the fact that I think a lot of ideas that we might not want to think about, a lot of gray areas. That if you had made this character, if this was a male character, it would have been dismissed immediately by audiences. But the fact that it's a woman and she's gay, like you can get that foot in the door, and like okay, now we can. That's like a quote unquote safe space to like maybe at least glance at these ideas that we otherwise wouldn't even think about. I think it's really cool, and just again, it didn't make my top 10 because I consider putting in the list, but because for me the performance is so focal. It's so much more about the performance for me than it is the movie. That's the only reason it didn't make my list.
Well, Kirk, tell us what did make you.
All right. 9 movies so far. I think I'm doing okay with Cody. I think I had a chance to maybe win this. I'm going to blow all that goodwill. Are you ready for it, Spence? Let's do it.
I was going to joke and say you need to have blaring jazz music playing.
My number one is Babylon.
For realism.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
No.
Wait for it. I love this movie.
We know.
Is great. I understand some of the problems with it. I understand not loving it to the level I do, but if you like movies, if you're somebody who just loves movies, you got to be able to find something here. Again, just certain moments. That scene, that extended where they're filming all those different movies and all those different things, just so fast paced. Where they just basically they discover Margot Robbie and she's doing that scene, and they find out she's able to cry on cue, and them getting that down, then to them chasing the sunset and golden hour and all the things going on, chasing the extras, just the chaotic nature of it. And that moment they finally get it and it all comes together and they get that shot, how beautiful and wonderful that is. I think it just encapsulates the entire movie. It's a movie in a nutshell. Gene Smart's speech to Brad Pitt. Holy crap! How can if you love movies, how can that not just break your heart? That whole, just thinking about, 50 years from now when you're dead, some kid's gonna watch your movie and it's gonna be like they knew you your whole life. How is that not you with Jimmy Stewart or Cary Grant or something? That's love of passion of movies, and that's what I love about this movie. It shows all the ugliness too. It shows all the bad things, but it shows like how much it's worth it, why it's worth paying that price because of all this beautiful art that's created. And I just think it's great. I think Robbie is fantastic. I think Brad Pitt is fantastic. The other lead, I can't remember his name right now. He's great. Just following him, the guy in the band, and that whole subplot. The Tobey Maguire stuff at the end, I think, is just it's just a completely out of field. But I love that little side quests as well. It's just it's one of the greatest movies about making movies. And yeah, I mean, you're watching the elephant take a dump and everything, and it's gross, and that whole party is just debauchery, and it might be hard to watch. But just again, there's so much great filmmaking, so much storytelling going on in those first 10 minutes, regardless of how gross it might be. It's just a beautiful, beautiful movie, and I know at least two of you disagree with me strongly, but we'll let Spence talk last.
So as I was watching all these movies, I was logging them. There was one movie I watched and did not log.
Cody, don't abandon
It
me.
is not 4 or 5. It's not. It is a 3.5 star movie. It has went up. It is not a bad movie. I feel like the movie is very bloated and didn't know where to go. It has me all the way up until God, I don't know how fucking long into that movie it is, but when she gets her
the Na'vi people from Avatar,
when she gets her nose job and like that stuff, past that, like up until that point where she's like rising to this thing and becoming the actress she is, and the cry on scene command, there was some stuff like that. The party I had no problem with really either. I was fine with that. It just felt like there was just no finish line ever is in sight for me for this thing, and that's why it was dragging me down. Because even if I think the ending of the movie is satisfying to a point, I'm exhausted by the time I get to the ending, so I don't really care about that. But I can't argue. I was a dickhead when I made my first review. Like, there's a lot to like about this movie. It's a fucking lot. So yes, as much as I would love to say I still hate this movie, I don't hate this movie. Do I think I'll watch it over again? No, probably not. Maybe there'll be parts of it I'll definitely go to, because I do think like her stepping on set and like how they interact and be like, no tits, and I'm like, all right, and then she's just dancing and she's crying and she's doing the silent stuff and having all that stuff and the rise to, like, I think there's some really cool parts of it. It's just I feel like it's just really too big, and I understand that's the point, but like I've seen movies about excess and like over the topness, and there's still like a through line and an end stop and a no where it finally comes to a rest. This movie never feels like it comes to a full rest, and I think that's the overall issue that I have with this movie. Spence, or do you want to go, and then Scott, or I don't care. Somebody talk.
I debatably, I am a coward. I try to approach this list from more of a best than favorite perspective. If this was favorite, this would have been on my list. It's literally in my top 100. Like, I really deeply love the film. I've watched it twice, and that doesn't really happen. But it is so incredibly watchable and rewatchable. The final scene is, sorry to be like pejorative for Cody. It is fully just Damien Chazelle just slamming his dick on the table and like saying like, this is cinema. Like it is such a
confident that Kirk move. Avatar is cinema.
He's at least seen that one. Like it is incredibly
best use of Avatar that year.
Mm-hmm.
It is so incredibly bold, and I love the shit out of it. One of my favorite film scores ever, bar none, no like caveat. It is just stellar. Yeah, just I love the pick. I wish I could be here with you. Unfortunately, I'm a coward.
I only wish we were talking about the Lady Gaga song Babylon, because then I would join in with everyone's chorus of praise. But here's my major problem with this movie. The last scene that everyone is talking about is premised on the idea that Kirk is bringing up, right? That, oh, movies are amazing. Don't you love movies? The problem is that the preceding 174 minutes or however much of this movie have convinced me fully that I hate movies, because every single scene looks like absolute misery. There is nothing appealing about anything, even the scene like capturing the sunset, like you said. Well, how did we get to this moment? Because Diego Calva, and by the way, I'm not surprised you can't remember his name because he's a blank piece of paper in this movie. He has to run all over town to get the supplies or whatever that they need to get this final shot. It looks miserable. Like, by the time they get the shot, I'm just like, I wouldn't even care if I was him because this looks like complete misery to me. None of the party scenes look appealing, and maybe that's just because I'm a square and a stick in the mud, but they don't. We're fighting snakes. That looks, I don't want any part of whatever is going on there. I don't want any part of whatever is going on with Tobey Maguire in his whole section of the movie. This movie beats you over the head with the idea that the film industry is just toxic and will drain the life out of you. And then in the last 2 minutes, it tries to get you back in by saying, but you love movies, don't you? Aren't movies magic? I'm like, no, I don't think I do anymore. Like, really, it just beats you into submission. And that's my major problem with it, is that I think it's just, there's no balance to it whatsoever, because it is premised on the idea that you have to find something in the first part of this movie appealing or alluring. And I don't. I think, again, Diego Calva gives me nothing. Margot Robbie is embarrassing. Like, that scene where she smears cake over her face is humiliating. Like, I never want to see that scene again. And there was a point on Twitter where I had to see that scene every single day. And also, Brad Pitt is sleepwalking in this movie. There's really not a whole lot. Damien Chazelle is such a talented director, and it feels like this was his suicide note or something like that.
I don't normally see Scott this level. I really enjoy this level.
This is one of about 3 movies from this decade which will get me to go to this level.
All right, Spence, and now for number 1, Promising Young Woman. No.
So, not only did I pick another movie about, like, talking about filmmaking, I also saw this with Scott, so we are buddies right now. Nope, I think is the best movie of the decade. I am deep with the Jordan Peele Kool-Aid. Anything he makes, I'll be there. I think Get Out is maybe the best movie of the 2010s. Like, I can work through it. It's up there. I don't think Nope is as good, but he still made a masterpiece. Talking about, again, like the predatory nature of art, of being a Black creative, and the people, like, everyone's perception about Emerald and OJ, about, you know, the whole point of their business is, you know, carrying on this legacy of, like, the first star of cinema, like the beginning of film, tying back to Kirk, is their blood, it's their family, and they are getting totally sidelined. People are looking for spectacle. And that spectacle is purely, like, that is the monster that literally eats up everyone around them. It is destroying the film industry. It is literally targeting the audience. And it's up to these minority voices who have been fighting for representation and safety and just art in general to literally save the masses and protect them. And even going into Michael Wincott, who I didn't know who he was before the film, just an incredible standout. His obsession over, it's not about, he doesn't want to capture it, or he doesn't want to defeat it. He simply wants to get it on film, to share it, because to him, everything is worth the risk and the danger simply for the art of cinema. And I think that Peele really unlocks this incredible narrative about minority voices representation within film, while also the inherent danger of filmmaking and the risks that people have to go through to create great art. I think this is a masterclass. Like, I think it is genuinely a movie, and I think Peele is a filmmaker that we should teach the next generation of film students to study. And I think this and Get Out are a perfect handshake of how to make great horror and great film.
Nope. No, just kidding. All right. Yup. I'm not I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just don't love this movie. Like, I haven't seen Us. I think Get Out. I'd love Get Out. I like where they're going for it. I think the performances are good. I think the subject matter just doesn't land for me overall. So that makes me like care that much about it. I think it's interesting, but it doesn't carry to a level that I'm just like, oh my god. And a lot of people are, and I get it. I get people are, but again, I'm a person that I've watched Glass Onion like 3 times, and you guys just told me today it's about Elon Musk, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That makes a lot of fucking sense. I don't try to like realize stuff. I just watch what it is. I'm a dumb film watcher. That's proven tonight. But overall, yeah, it just doesn't climb to that top tier for me. But that doesn't make it a bad movie. I think it's shot really well. I think the performance is really good. I think overall subject matter just doesn't fully land for me. Everybody else on nope.
When you said that it was something we saw together, I was like, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 in 4DX.
Hell fucking yeah, brother.
Yeah, no, this is a great pick. This is probably my favorite Jordan Peele movie. Yeah, it would be somewhere in, top 50 or so from this decade. I think as a blockbuster goes, it's full of ideas, which is what I want to see. Blockbuster and genre movies, like just the idea that they have to go to such lengths just to get the perfect shot, because as Black people, they're not going to be taken seriously unless they get the perfect shot. And this movie shows the lengths that they have to go to in order to get there, and they have to work harder than everyone else, which is obviously an important point to make. And there's lots of other ideas which Spence has brought up. Keke Palmer, I think this is a movie where she really sort of broke through into, hey, she can be a movie star. Daniel Kaluuya is always amazing. And yeah, the Gordy's home sequence in the middle is like one of the most haunting things too. Crazy that scene is in a huge blockbuster movie from a director like Jordan Peele. But yeah, Nope is fantastic. Have no problems with this choice.
Yeah, it wasn't in consideration for my top 10, but it's a good movie. I think it's Peele's best. I think you see the evolution of what he's doing. I think especially because all of the ideas that Spence mentioned are there, but you have to look for them, which I don't think is something you could say about his first 2 movies. I think the first 2, as good as Get Out was, I think it's very surfacey, and I just don't think Us is very good at all. But I think Nope is a really solid movie. I think, like I said, all those ideas are valid, but I think it's just a really good like sci-fi horror movie. I think there's a lot of great moments. That moment in the barn where you think he's seeing the aliens for the first time is kind of bone chilling the first time you see it. The scene with at the show, when you that like dark twilight hour where you first see the thing moving around, that final battle on the motorcycle and everything going on there, when you actually see fully formed what they're dealing with. I just think there's a lot of great like sci-fi horror moments in this movie. I think that's what Peele does. I mean, I think like you said, like there's a lot of messaging in his film, but he also just makes really great genre movies for the most part. Also, just like you mentioned, Michael Wilcott and Clark Duncan together, Keith David together, Hollywood's 2 all-time greatest voices, in the same film. So yeah, I again, number 1 I think is high, but it's still really solid for me.
All right, that is the show. Now I have to give scores. This is going to be harder than I thought. Winner of tonight's show, Jack's out of the running, didn't show up, can't win it, unfortunately. Winner is Scott.
After seeing the list, I kind of expected it, honestly.
Yeah, it was just Scott overall. Tar and Red Rocket would both be in consideration for my situation. Spence was close. Spence and Kirk would be kind of Jack's last place, so neither one of you get last place. Would be close. Nosferatu being on the top two. It's just crazy to me. One has Babylon, one has Nope, both movies that I just don't like overall, like love at the top spot. I would most likely give it to Kirk as second and then Spence for third. Anatomy of a Fall almost carried it beyond the point for me. You tried to make me watch People's Joker again. I just won't tell on the record.
It was 10. You didn't have to. I protected
That's
you.
still punishment by law. Thank you all. I'm gonna work on the draft topic. That's what I want to do. Next is the next one. Get 5 people in here, just draft some stuff up. Second, the 9th, coming up on the 9th, this Sunday, we will be doing the roundtable live. So check all that out. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being on, everybody. Bye-bye.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
Your guilt has been determined. This is merely a sentencing hearing. Now, what will it be? Death or exile?
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
So,
Normally, I would say auf Wiedersehen. But since what auf Wiedersehen actually means is till I see you again. And since I never wish to see you again, to you, sir, I say good